No black cats, just straight facts.
Triple P certified.
Listen, we can talk about odds all day. It doesn't matter what the odds are. It matters what's gonna happen. Welcome to the Parlay Pursuit. It is I, Lukey CK, coming off kind of night. Marlon Vera took on Corey Sandhagen. We'll talk all about it. And then we're going to break down UFC 287. It's the early show, baby. A very special episode. But wait, there's more. Danny the Batman will be here any minute. And Joe Solecki after that. In just 10 minutes, we got the golden boy, the lightweight legend, Joe Solecki, coming out of Jersey, coming by way of North Carolina onto the show. Been on the show 4 or 5 times. Going to come on. We're going to talk some shop, see how everything's going behind the scenes at Gym O. We're going to grill him. We got some questions for him, baby. And we're going to break down UFC 287. Early predictions, guys. You know we wouldn't leave you hanging on a break week. Alex, my dog, how are you?
Would be a lot better if the bets went my way last week, but it was one of the worst nights I've had gambling in a very long time. Still was in it to the last fight. Still had a chance at $1,000 at the end of the night after I was only 3-10 at that point, I think 3-9, something of that nature, but didn't quite get it. Marlon Vera, very frustrating fight to watch, especially if you have Marlon Vera by knockout. But yeah, I'm just happy Joe's here. It's crazy that the most popular, biggest profile, greatest lightweight of all time can make time for us, and everybody else seems to go Hollywood on us. At least we got Smoking Joe, Joey Badass, my boy Joe Solecki coming on.
And, you know, it's off the heels of one of the worst gambling nights, or one of the worst pick nights we've ever had. But I can't really, there were some spots that I was really liking that disappeared, right? So, like, the Manel Cop fight, I really like that spot. That disappeared. There was another fight, the first fight of the night, Haley Cowan versus, I forget her name, but that fight got dropped as well. So we only had 10 fights. I went 50%. I got 5 out of 10. Dan went 6 out of 10. PUB certified went 2 out of 4. Alex went 4 out of 10. And really, we should call it 3 out of 10 because although you picked Sandhagen on the show, your final parlay had Vera. Explain yourself.
That was my hedge play. So my hedge play became the last play I had left. I tried to rebuild a bunch of parlays after that, after all of my other parlays that had somebody I was high on, Pressure Parsons on, Austin Lingo, Chitty Bang Bang, Lutz. These are all people who I had on multiple different parlays, not all on the same one. I kind of staggered my bets. I was on fire in terms of over-unders. 3-0 on over-unders until I started hedging like a madman. I don't even really count those because these were plays that I gave you before the night even started. I told you guys last week, if you see over under 1.5 in a flyweight fight, you are an idiot not to take that. Over 1.5 in a flyweight fight, these guys are 125 pounds. You're telling me they're going to put each other away in 7.5 minutes? I think that is the easiest play every single week. Anytime you see a flyweight fighter over under 1.5, you bump that over up.
Well, I like that they had that over 1.5 for Chitty Bang Bang versus Duraev as well.
Had that as well.
So before Joe gets here, let's just talk about some of the fights that really drove us kind of bonkers. For me, Alto Moreno was one of the only people who did his damn job besides Nate Landwehr. Nate Landwehr coming in as a favorite. You're a little hesitant to bet him. I understand that. Everybody should be. Alex picked Lingo. Me and Dan were on Landwehr. But he was a pretty big favorite. So I understand, just not really trusting it at that line. However, he did his job. He got the second round finish. Altamirano did his job. CJ Vergara in spades did his job. Came back from almost getting finished in the first round and was able to grind out the victory in the second. I
was shitting myself during that over-under, believe me.
I mean, I will say this. I picked Alex. Dan picked Lucas Alexander. I picked Stephen Ocho Peterson. So did you. But as they were walking out, I was like, Peterson ain't winning this 100%. I just had the gut feeling. So Tucker Lutz, I think, kind of like the bitch of the night, did really bad, really poorly. When you got a guy who's 9 years older than you, that's a bad look to just get taken out like that. I mean, he looked terrible. I think you cut Tucker Lutz, 100% cut him. I saw the Preston Parsons fight the first 2 rounds, and I had to leave my hotel and walk to the bar, and I was surprised he lost. I thought he was winning the fight based on what I was watching in the hotel. But the guy I'm most disappointed in, who won, the guy I'm most disappointed in who won, even though I picked him, is Albert Duraev. I think that Albert Duraev and a lot of these Russian guys, welcome to the show, Dan. We're talking Duraev versus Shitty Bang Bang.
Danny.
We watched that fight together at the bar, and I was thinking, like, these Russian guys, sometimes they're so damn annoying with the way they fight, man. Whether it's Duraev, whether it's who is that guy? The guy who Zubaira Tukhugov, who was the big favorite. These guys just fight very complacently. These guys fight as if like they are the judges and like they know how the judges are going to score it, and like it's almost like they're always so just mind blown when they lose decisions. I don't know. Everything's tit for tat. Everything's kind of like always reset and they don't seem to. There's some, and it's not all of them writ large, but there's just a good sect of these fighters from Russia, from Dagestan, in that circle, who just fight very complacently and fight like as if it's so obvious that they're winning the whole time, and it's not that. Somebody needs to show them a tape and say it's not that obvious. You're not fighting with a killer instinct.
It seems like they just want to do enough to get the win, but don't want to make it spectacular in any sense, when that's really shooting yourself in the foot. That's why it takes some of these guys a lot of wins in a row to get that title shot, to get that contender spot. Because honestly, it's like Dana White said about Ben Askren back in the day. Watching him fight is like watching 2 flies have intercourse, because we're still within the first 10 minutes, and I'm not going to do it to you boys.
So yeah, and I mean, the guy who disappointed me the most, who lost of my picks, was definitely Chito Vera. It's very frustrating, right? For a lot of the same reasons. You just feel like he's got more to give and isn't giving it in there. You feel, and especially when in the 5th round, the last 30 seconds, he does kind of fight how you wanted him to fight from round 3 on. And it's like, at this point, I'm even willing to give Chito Vera 2 rounds that he's going to just, sit there and do nothing in, and I'll trust him to win the next 3. But he didn't even do that this time, guys. And what it's like the most was that Bisping and a lot of other people who are like Chito Vera friendly were really taking away from Corey Sandhagen's victory. Like, Bisping kept saying Chito Vera beat himself. No, he didn't. Corey Sandhagen whooped his ass for 5 rounds. He won all 5. And just because Marlon Vera, like, I don't like this kind of like takeaway from Corey Sandhagen where it's like, well, if Marlon Vera did everything, if he did everything he's capable of, he would have won. That's bullshit, guys. I don't like that. I mean, he didn't do it. He failed the mission, and it is what it is. Back of the line now. Like, I don't like it. Taken away from Corey Sandhagen like that. And also Marlon Vera, he fights with this machismo, with this kind of like chip on his shoulder, with this kind of like ferocity and anger, and like he's always gonna just run right through guys, and he kind of has that kind of talk about him. And it's like when you go out there, you see him just kind of not, what it feels like, just not even trying, not throwing, getting 10x'd in terms of strike count. I mean, it's very disappointing, very frustrating, and it makes you think that a lot of these wins that he got, that he snatched, when he was losing from the jaws of defeat, he was able to pull them off, whether it's the Frankie Edgar fight or the Dominic Cruz fight. It really just makes you not want to bet on a guy like that anymore, because you're only going to win when he gets kind of lucky or when it goes perfectly his way, in that kind of fashion. But it's if a fighter like Corey Sandhagen is going to be stubborn in there and just going to lock down, that's what's going to happen.
One thing Corey Sandhagen did lose was the call out. I mean, you're calling out Peter Yan, a guy coming off of 2 losses, who's probably not even.
Called out Marab Devoshley.
Oh, I thought he called out Peter Yan.
Called out Marab.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Chito Vera called out Yan.
But okay, whatever. Either way, why are you calling out a guy on 2 losses? Don't call out a guy on 2 losses who might have 1 foot out the door already. Three losses in a row.
Sterling, Sean O'Malley.
Okay. Dude.
Hey, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Those 2 judges who got it wrong. I mean, Marlon Vera totally robbed here. I aligned with the other judge. I mean, obviously there was only 2 smart guys in the room that night, right? Me and the judge. So I don't know exactly the gentleman's name, but shout out to you for taking a stand. There's not many people in the world these days that are willing to take a stand and make the right call against all others. So
amen, Dan. Amen, Dan. I was trying to get a last-minute bet on Macy Barber. She was like plus 500 right before they were about to read the decisions. And I didn't get it in on time. But Dan Mergliotta, the guy, the legend, the absolute stud, goes out there and gives it 30-27 to Macy Barber. We had a lot of weird judging that night, ladies and gents, and I didn't even know Dan Mergliotta was a ref or a judge.
Yeah, I was going to say, has that been a oversight by us? Has he always been judging and we just haven't seen it? Or is this a first-time thing? What's the history of Dan Mergliotta judging?
And the fact that he's judging and reffing in the same night, it just seems a little weird to me. It seems a little off.
Yeah, I don't know.
And to be able to hop between judging and refereeing, they get mad at homeboy who judged the
Herzog.
What? Doug Crosby. They get mad at Doug Crosby for going to a Friday Bellator and then a Saturday UFC, but they don't get mad at Dan Mergliotta for sitting and judging a fight and then reffing a fight. I mean, that's two totally different brain modes you're switching between. One, you're looking, at it from a judge's standpoint. One, you're looking at it from a protection standpoint. But we all know Dan's never looking at it from a protection standpoint. Dan the Butcher. Yeah, that was weird, man. And what was weird about the Dan Mergliotta. Listen, I didn't see Macy Barber's fight. I was in transit during that fight. But what was weird for me is that there was one judge who had it for Barber, one judge who had it for
29-28. Lee.
29-28s, but flipping the rounds, and then one guy thinks she won every single round. And I guess what people don't get is okay, the beta between it is okay, you have one judge thinks basically it's they really only disagree about one round.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because two judges thought she won 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought she won 2 different rounds. Meaning the judge who thought she won all 3 really agrees with both judges, if you think about it. So it's not that crazy. What was crazy is that it was Dan Mergliotta. that was what made it seem a little weird,
There was a lot of weird fluky judging, and there has been for the past couple of weeks, and it's kind of frustrating. It kind of leaves you there scratching your head sometimes, but I mean, it's part of the game. And that's why Dana White always says, don't leave it in the hands of the judges, people.
So yeah, I was saying, we had pretty much our worst night all season, all year.
A judge gave one round to, or one of the judges gave it to Vera, right, Dan?
The fight.
Yeah,
the whole fight.
The whole fight.
I just for the people who don't know Dan too well, I know you're being sarcastic. I know you don't really think that he won that fight, and really you shouldn't even be. I mean, I'm having trouble being a Chito Vera fan after that fight. I mean, I know Corey Sandhagen is elite. He's elite. But there just wasn't any effort in a main event fight. There was no effort. Corey Sandhagen was throwing flying knees. He was trying to do everything he could to make it spectacular. And Marlon Vera threw 13 punches in the first 3 rounds. I mean, and when you get Jason Perillo just babying this guy, I just want to be like, Perillo, are you afraid of him? What is going on? You talk to him like he's your boss, not like you're his coach. You know what I mean? Get in his crawl, dude. Get in his ass. Why don't you fucking tell him? And really, this is what scares me about these guys who don't want title shots and don't care, want to be company men. It's they kind of know they're always going to have a job. They're not fighting for a goal or a mission. They're just fighting. They like it. I need a guy who needs the win. I don't need a guy who's content where he is in his life and his career and the fights he's getting and has a great relationship with Dana White. And, he's never going to lose his job, right? I need a little bit of, fear, right? Jeff Bezos said, I want all my Amazon employees to wake up scared every day. I want Dana White's employees to wake up scared every day. I want them to be like, I need to win. I don't want them to have this attitude of well, I'm a fan favorite. Yeah, you know who else was a fan favorite? Chuck Liddell. You know who else was a fan favorite? There's been
Rich Franklin.
There's been a lot of fan favorites. And guess what? You lose enough in a row, you don't have a job. Darren Till was a fan favorite. Where is he at now?
Mate.
Getting knocked out by Logan Paul.
Mate, that was a mutual breakup, mate.
Absolutely.
What's your point?
Why would I want to be from Liverpool? It's a shithole.
Is he from Liverpool?
Darren Till, yeah. Liverpool.
That was choppy.
He's a scouser. So yeah, I mean, lots to talk about, lots to discuss. We have UFC 287 coming up, Pereira versus Adesanya 2, and we will be breaking that down. We're gonna get some hot takes from Joe Solecki. We're gonna see how everything's going over there at Gym O down in North Carolina, Salty Dog Jiu-Jitsu. And but anything stand out to you guys from the fight night? I mean, obviously there was the weird Macy Barber decision. Obviously, we all didn't have a really great night pick-wise. Dan, you led the way, 6 out of 10. The only one to call Alexander, the only one to call you called Alexander. You got Landwehr, you even got Sandhagen. But
That
overall,
DDS fight versus CJ Vergara was amazing. I think DDS shouldn't get cut for that.
yeah.
I think he shouldn't get cut. Huh?
Yeah, that was a great fight. Daniel Da Silva, but once I knew it went to the second round, he'd never really been to a second round. I was like, Vergara's got this 100%. You know, fighting is a lot about energy management. It's a lot about knowing how much you got left in the tank versus how much you got left to drive, you know?
But how much can you just simply get on your bike and run around the cage from somebody until the judge has to say, or the ref has to say something? How long are you allowed to do that? Because honestly, that might be my technique for the entire fight. I might just run away the entire time. I'm managing the distance. I'm managing the damage. I might throw one little jab and then get out of there. I'm up 1-0 as far as I'm concerned.
Dude, that was one of the best things I've ever seen. I mean, you had to realize how dizzy that guy was at one point. Like, his equilibrium was so off that he's just fucking running around, just sprinting at least 3-4 times around the entire octagon. I was watching with a buddy who's not a huge UFC fan, and after that first round, he's like, man, like, I think I should switch my pick, but on this guy, I was like, hold on a second now. I got a guy here who I know has good cardio, who's tough as shit, and another guy who I think might be a little bit suspect with the cardio. You know, he didn't put the guy away, so that's got to be a little soul snatching for the guy inflicting the damage but not getting the finish. We might have something here. And sure enough, CJ Vergara made me look like a genius in that moment and definitely won the crowd over. So looking forward to that guy again and again and again.
And what we have, Dan, is my hypothesis coming true. Anytime you see an over under 1.5 on a flyweight fight, you take that to the bank. You put the whole house on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, yeah, so obviously it was just not the, you know, Holly Holm, I'll say this. I'm always waiting on Holly Holm to not show up looking like her previous self, and it just doesn't happen. And I mean, you got to wonder, right? You got to wonder. I'm not even going to say it, but you got to wonder. You got to wonder if she's getting visited in the I mean, it's crazy, guys. It's absolutely crazy to be that old and look that good and that physically fit. And I love Holly Holm. You know, I have a Holly Holm autograph hanging around here somewhere, but I don't know. And really, Yana Santos, I expected. You know, we talked about it on the show. One got divorced, one got married. You want to think that the girl getting married is getting boosted up a little bit in her confidence, you know what I mean, in her contentment. And then she goes out there and has the worst fight of all time. I mean, Holly Holm is a great wrestler. I'll say that. She's one of the best people to go from straight boxing, straight kickboxing into MMA and actually really improve her wrestling like a ton in the women's division. So shout out to Holly Holm. She looked great, but really Santos just looked like dog shit. From the very start of the fight when she was closing that distance, I was like, wow, your plan is to grapple Holly Holm? You're not a grappler. You're a kickboxer. Holly has been training with John Jones and people who like checks and wings and wrestle.
And Luke, something that was to think about before this is Santos' husband is in the PFL. He's in the PFL. She might already be considering 1 foot out the door. And I'm pretty sure she had a baby pretty recently, no? Like within 8 months ago, 6 months ago, which my girl was like, holy cow, she just had a baby recently and now she's fighting. Like that doesn't sound very good. That doesn't sound very safe.
Well, shout out to Holly Holm. She got it done. And with that, I think it's about time to kind of move on. But I want to get somebody else's take on last week's card. Let's bring into the show Joe Solecki. Joe, what's going on, man?
What's up, guys? How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Let's
Our
go.
pleasure. Our pleasure. What are you on your way to do right now?
So I'm in Myrtle Beach tonight, which is a little further from where I live. So I come down here once a week and I teach, and then usually I box, and then I also spar right now because we got 2 guys down here fighting next Friday. So not this week, but the following. 2 pros. One is 1-0 as a pro, and my weight class, and then the other one's Cody Jones. He's 9-3 as a pro, so I think this is the one that's going to put him over and get him, that big shot at maybe Contender Series or short notice call or something like that. So some big stuff coming up for the guys here. So that means I have to be the sparring partner and actually end up doing more rounds than the guys fighting. So it's going to be a long one for me.
What don't you get to go in fresh and do kind of like a Shark Tank situation?
So typically, yes, but they're both fighting a 5'9" gremlin like me. So I'll go two with Cody and then take 1 round off and go 2 with High, but I'll still end up doing 4. So somehow I get to roll into this deal, but they do so much for me. So it's kind of like the least I could do.
Well, I want to know, do you have a fight coming up? Because last time we talked, you were approaching UFC Paris. That was a fight you got offered to take on Benoit Saint Denis, and it didn't work out for whatever reason. But then they matched you guys up here in the States. and never thought I would see it. Or did I? Alex, you said it best. The French, they go running sometimes. They go running. They're good at retreating. And he turned his back and ran away. Joe, what happened there? And are we going to get him? Are we going to get this guy?
I don't know. I guess he had a pretty severe ankle injury because he originally posted and tagged me and was like, I'll be good to go if you could hold off 6 weeks. And I just kind of told my manager that. And I was like, yeah, I'm good to fight now, or I'm good to fight him in 6 weeks. And then he ended up having surgery. So I guess it was pretty severe. I guess it speaks to his toughness. He was like, oh, I'll brush this right off. Ended up being something that needed repaired, you know? But actually on fight night, when I was going through my messages because I couldn't sleep, he hit me up at like, it had to be like 1:30 in the morning when we had like a 4 a.m. call time to the airport. I'm like, I'm going to close my eyes right now. I've got to get some sleep. And the last message after I read through all of them pops up like live. Like he had the green hair, dot, like he's active. And it was Benoit. And he was like, congrats, or, on a great performance, something like that. And I'm like, thank you so much, man. Hope you're feeling well. And I'm like, I know what's coming out next is a call out. Like it's now I'm gonna have this adrenaline. And he was just like, oh, or something like that. Oh, respect, And I was like, oh, wow, that was cool. What a classy dude. So I guess he's still healing. I don't know. But pretty much my window to fight was kind of like June. Because we're having a baby in July, and we've got some big changes coming up here soon too. So just career-wise and stuff like that. I'm not retiring or anything like that, but just stuff to help my career. So with all that in mind, I probably won't end up fighting until the fall, I would imagine, if we don't hit that deadline like I thought. So they're kind of matching June up, and I'm okay with that because there's some really, really positive stuff on the way for me. Just setting me up to I think really go on a run here if I can get my ducks in a row to make some good changes. So I guess more on that in the future. But if we don't get that fight before the baby comes, I think I'll be able to hit the ground running come fall. And turning 30 this summer, and I'm just touching my prime, so I really would like to string a lot of activity together here soon.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Congrats. That's amazing. So that'll be your second kid. And so Joe, what's it been like? Like your daughter is how old right now?
Oh, she is 2.5.
2.5. Okay, so my
Terrible twos.
My daughter just turned 1, right? And I saw you had a picture of her in a gi a couple months ago back, right? So she's 2. All right, what have you been getting her into? Like she's moving, she's talking, she's seeing things now. How have you handled going from having a 1-year-old to a 2-year-old? Because I'm coming up on that, and I'm just looking. What should I be doing here?
Dude, I was just talking to because we have an 1.5-hour drive here. I was talking to my mom on the way here about how they see everything, dude. It's crazy. And now that she's 2, it's actually amazing. She's a little feisty at 2, but it's fun because now, I mean, it's always been fun, but she's like with it, and she knows everything that's going on. She knows all the people at the gym and all this stuff. So she kind of understands what I do. Like she knows I go fight someone, and it's kind of hilarious because she picks up on everything. She said the other night she told me that because one of my teammates stays with us at our house and he rents a room from us, and he's a good friend of ours. And she was like, "Oh, I have to go talk to Nick." And I said, "Oh, where are you going?" She goes, "We have to leave. We have to go to Las Vegas." I'm like, "What?" Because I got on the plane. I went to Las Vegas. My in-laws let her watch the fight live. I did not sign off on that. So she was yelling at the TV, and they took a video of it, and she was screaming. I guess my mother-in-law was yelling, "Go Joe!" So then Nora was screaming, "Go Joe! Go Joe!" And then she told me, I had her on the changing table, changing her diaper one day, and she said, "Daddy, I watch you on the TV. She said, you go bop bop." She goes, "Mommy jump up and down. She's so happy. She cry." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you pick up everything." But last night she was at the gym, and we were leaving. She comes watches me teach on Monday, and my wife meets me there after work, and then they hang out. And we train. And I said, you like coming to the gym? I said, "Do you want to do jiu-jitsu?" She goes, "I'm just a little girl." She goes, "Have to get bigger first." I was like, "Yeah, sure, yeah." But it's wild, man. For everybody else's sake, they better hope she takes up ballet or something, because she's her mother, man. She's her mother through and through. So if she learns that skill, she's gonna abuse it. She's gonna go fight people,
Yeah. We've all seen your wife at the events. She goes hard, and that's awesome. So it's funny that you are hesitant to let her watch, because my daughter is one. I let her watch the UFC with me every Saturday. My sister even got her shirt that says, "On Saturdays I watch UFC with Daddy." And I'm watching, and I'm asking, I'm saying do you think this is a good idea? Should I let her watch this? And everyone's like, "Yeah, it's fine, it's fine." And then I'm watching Bellator. I forget what fight it was, but it's an absolute bloodbath, right? And I'm like, all right, maybe not this one. You know, I just don't know what's in that little mind of hers. But it's so funny because now she's kind of trained where Bruce Buffer comes on and then starts doing the announcement. She's clapping, she's locked in, she's having a great time, and it's like I just hope that it could just be a little tradition we have as she gets older. But
no, we watch all the cards together. She has since she's a little baby. It was just mine that I was like, maybe wait that I'm safe before we show her this because like she will know that that's me, you know. Like, what if I like break my leg or something? And
right, she doesn't know that it's live necessarily. Like she wouldn't know that it's live, or you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, they for a couple of minutes.
I was like, man, they let her watch. I'm like, we didn't say that was okay. And my wife was like, she looked at me, she's like, oh, I did. I told him it was fine. I'm like, oh, I guess we're just making those calls now.
Wow, that's crazy. So, you mentioned hitting your 30s. Gonna get a fight in the fall, and I'm driving home from work. I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about you coming on the show, and I'm like, all right, we gotta help Joe. We gotta help Joe any way we can. Not that you need our help, but everybody could use a little fertilizer. Everybody could use a little boost. And I'm thinking, I'm like, who's the fight for Joe, right? And then it hit me like a ton of bricks, dude. I know who your fight is. I know who your next fight needs to be. Maybe not the next one, but two from now. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Dustin Poirier.
Hold
on, let me explain. I know he's your favorite fighter. I'm okay
with that. I don't care about that.
Dustin, I thought of this. Remember when Israel Adesanya fought Anderson Silva? This is that for you. This is that fight for you. And here's why. You're kind of the next Dustin Poirier. You're a family man. You know what I mean? You're a nice guy. You're a white hat, even though you're wearing a black hat right now. But and even though Dustin's kind of gone a little black hat.
I was about to say, you won't see Joe jumping off a truck to punch somebody in the face.
So there you go. But I think that we get this Dustin Poirier fight. We get it through respect because he doesn't want to give guys like Colby a shot. He doesn't want, He doesn't like kind of getting into the mud and rolling around with the pigs. So let's not do it. Let's have two guys that are nice guys. Let him lift you up into his stratosphere. He beat McGregor twice. He's got the hot sauce. We'll get you something. We'll get you, I don't know, what you like, mustard?
I like hot sauce. It was, not the spicy end, but nice teriyaki.
We can't launch hot sauce because Steve-O's got a hot sauce. Dustin's got a hot sauce.
Like a nice teriyaki, a good ranch. I'm in the South now. A nice ranch,
Little blue cheese.
I can't endorse ranch, Joe. We're not going to be able to endorse ranch on the show. It's got to be blue cheese. We're Joey Diaz fans here, It's blue cheese or nothing else. But so what do you think? Let's hear your Dustin Poirier call out right now.
Yeah, well, the thing is like, I don't think it's even realistic. Because I was going to say to you, I'm like, if I came out with that, he would go, I'm just going to go sell hot sauce, Because if he ain't going to fight Dariush, who's on an insane winning streak, they ain't going to fight me. But I would love that. We know I would have no problem with that because I've already fought Jim Miller, who I grew up watching as like a little kid, So, man, I'm here for whatever. But I thought you were going to say Patty Pimblett. I was like, that's kind of the easy, low-hanging fruit, But that's one that I think is realistic too, actually. I didn't think it was until I read that article yesterday about him going on that rant. So, Poirier would make a dream fight, but a realistic, I don't even want to say dream, a realistic goal fight would be, the baddie, I think.
Really? Wow. So, okay. So, the baddie's got a big mouth. And you just said that, when BSD was messaging you, you were getting a little adrenaline going up. And I wanted to ask then, is that why you avoid getting into like some verbal spats or Twitter spats with these guys? Because it really does get to you. Like, does it actually? Because I'm that type of guy too, where I will get livid and blood red mad if some guy's talking shit over my phone. And then if you don't want that, it's like, hey, I'm not gonna put myself into it. Is that kind of the
No, when Denis was messaging me, I didn't think it was going to be a crap talk. I just thought it was going to be like me next. And I was like, oh my gosh, like now I got to start watching tape of him and be nervous.
Right.
The crap talk really doesn't, I don't see that being, if this was a couple years ago, I want to avoid that at all costs. I know me, I'm just going to not get involved. You know what I mean? Like you can say whatever you want. That's why I think it's kind of the perfect time for me to fight someone like Patty. But I guess he was going after Jared Gordon and, he was like saying, stop whining about a close decision, this and that. He's like, Joe Solecki beat you and you got a split decision. So I was like, oh, okay. So you've watched that fight. We know that we're on the same, then you know who I am. And then we both had a close fight with Jared. So if we can't get that fight for you, I'll be back in fall when you're healthy. So let's do it. I may even put that out there and maybe like tweet that out or talk to my manager. But it makes sense. We're right in the rankings around the same spots, I think that'd be great. That would be a good test, quote unquote, for the matchmakers to put me through of that big fight. I've been in the Apex for a couple of years now, so set me back in the wild a little bit with something like Patty. I think that's realistic, and I think I am. Although I lost that split decision to Jared, what have you. That's a couple years ago. I think I am the next tier up to test him against. Like,
now, Luke,
split decision to Jared, and everybody thought you won. He won a split decision against Jared that everybody thought he lost. So it's kind of like MMA math.
That's what I'm
You're
saying.
even.
You say we're both on close decisions with the same guy, common denominator. Let's get it. And I do think since then I've shown my evolution has been a little more than Jared's because he's a little older. So I think it was like, okay, you fought guys that are maybe have power, but no, they're not well rounded. You fought guys that were good on the ground but couldn't strike on the feet like Levitt. You fought Jared, who is well rounded but not an athlete. I think I'm the next tier where you're like, okay, like here's a blue chip prospect, now fight me. I think that would be the selling point. I don't think there's any like a lot of flash to it, but I think that also could maybe be sold too. So I would love that fight. I want to be in big fights. Just tough fights, guys that are tough that I respect, and we'll see what comes down the line. That's why I like the idea of Saint Denis. Special forces guy from France. He's getting on an airplane, flying across the world, leaving his family. I'm leaving mine. We're gonna meet in the APAC. I thought that was so cool. So yeah, just more of that. And if it's Saint Denis, that'd be great too.
I love it.
Luke, I could have sworn you were going to ask Joe to do your bidding for you after this whole Ian Gary beef. I thought you were going to say, Joe, bump up a weight class and fight Ian Gary on my behalf because Ian Gary's been coming at me with some hot sauce himself.
Has he?
Dude, let's not get into it. Let's not revive this feud. But basically, maybe we could do a Misfits boxing match, tag team style. Me and you, Ian Gary, and somebody who he's buddies with that doesn't fight. And I'll just you go in and I never get tagged in. You know what I mean? That could work. I know that's what MMA Guru was talking about doing when he got into the spat with Terrence McKinney. Maybe we can make that happen. But honestly, Joe, you just had All In Grappling 2, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of remember that we had some involvement in All In Grappling 1, and then there were some promises made about All In Grappling 2. So
I was waiting.
I was going to ask you, Joe, like we didn't get a text, we didn't get a call. It just came and went like the breeze.
Joe, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Dan Tucktail, he doesn't want to wrestle me anymore. He's scared. He's running just like Benoit Saint Denis.
Listen, we're talking about promises here. We promised our fans that if we reached a certain amount of Patreon members, then we'd get it going. We unfortunately did not reach that threshold. So, listen,
Joe
it's all about carrots and sticks. It's all about carrots and sticks, baby.
And
I was waiting for this call.
Joe,
here's my thing. I don't tell. I put it out there, and then because I don't ever want to pressure anybody. So like, even with the guys from Hass's, I don't send like a message like, "Hey, anybody want super fights?" Because then I feel like they're gonna go. I feel the pressure to get in the car and drive from New Jersey and come down. I don't want to be that guy putting people out. I've legitimately, and this just shows what we call in the business of faith, fear of man. I didn't reach out to them like, if they hit their stuff and they want to do it, they know where to find me. Like, they know I'm game. So I'll put it out there now for All In 3, which is looking like maybe June. We are game. But you know where to find us. That's what I'll say.
Fair enough. Because I thought you went Hollywood on us. I thought maybe and now you're talking about fighting Patty the Batty. Once you get that fight, we know you're going Hollywood. It's gonna be All In Grappling on Fight Pass at the Apex. They're gonna stop us at the door. They're gonna be like, But anyway,
do not disrespect our Triple P Fighter of the Year. Okay, this is Joe Solecki, Triple P Fighter of the Year. Come on now.
Joe has won Triple P Fighter of the Year every year we've done this show. It's because he's the only one who will come on the show. He wins. So Joe, how was All In Grappling 2? It seemed like a good time. Seemed like a big night.
It was awesome. It was great. It was here's the problem. The first one was like a pleasant surprise. So you're like, oh, this is going fantastic. I'm having a great time and people are excited. The second one was a great time, kind of. But it was like, okay, we have this expectation now. We've got to deliver. And we did. It was fantastic. It was a bigger turnout. But the daytime is tough because you get, the kids turn out doubled. So what comes with that is you get the parents. And that's a tough demographic to deal with, because, everybody wants their kid to be the priority and they want to make sure that their kid's getting that win. And oh man, it was only a few that were like very hands-on, but I couldn't go anywhere without them grabbing me. So it was like the same 3 people all day long, but it was spectacular. The community came out. It was great. The daytime was stressful, but we knocked it out again. We hit like 140 competitors. Everyone got their 2 matches or more in from like we started 11:03 was the first match, and we were done at I think 3:15 So ran through it really efficiently. And then nighttime was just a party. It was a blast. And we kind of went all out on this one, or all in. And we had like the lighting and we had the good commentating. I had a friend of mine that's pretty good with camera work, recorded all the matches, had the commentators, dubbed over that. We're putting them out slowly. And it was awesome. Had a good photographer there. This guy that trains with us, Chris Sanofa, who's one of our black belt that trains with us. So it was just kind of the last time we kind of did the prototype. And this time was just, it was awesome. It was a really great turnout. And I think we're going to have another one here probably in June. So really excited about that. I really want to start pitching it to like one of these platforms like Flow or something and start seeing what we can do with it, because I think we have the recipe down now. I may have to get some new mats or something like that, wrestling mats. Maybe they don't look as good, but yeah, I think this is here to stay for sure.
Yeah, have you been in talks with Fight Pass at all, or anybody from the UFC? Because you're in Quintet. I see guys like Uriah Faber, guys like George Masvidal. They have their promotions that kind of get some. So is there any kind of behind the scenes business talk? We got a John Jones down, everybody.
So I was talking to my manager about it because he's involved in all the Fight Pass invitationals and stuff. Like that's how I've gotten all of them, So he was like, yeah, like he actually said something about it, and it was like, get me like a sizzle reel and some highlights and stuff, and I'll pass it along to the powers that be. So that's kind of my reasoning for like, all right, we got to get lights order. We got to get this. We got to get that. Like, we're just going to do it, And I'm coming off a fight where I won. I fought recently. So I'm like, this is the time to kind of invest in making this grow, So, yeah, so we'll see. I mean, definitely Fight Pass would be a dream come true, but, they have a high standard. But I think when they put their name on something, they get involved. So I think they could make it as nice as they wanted to. I could just be the organization. So, I really don't know all the details, but if not, maybe Flow, maybe just talking to these companies and like seeing what they're looking for and then trying to become that, So that's the goal long term though, is to get on one of these and kind of be here to stay, because we really don't have anything like it in the Southeast here, So we got a lot of grappling, a lot of MMA down here. It's just we always have these small shows, but we don't have that like Fury grappling or even in MMA or CFFC or that promotion where you're like, okay, I'm going to this and this is like high quality. We have fights or shows where you can get grappling matches or fights, but it wouldn't be like your night out, so to speak, if you were a fan. And one thing I noticed about CFFC, and I was fortunate enough to fight there, is like when people go to Atlantic City for CFFC, like that's your weekend event or your night out. Like people are getting dressed up, they're excited to go. The coolest thing ever was watching we did like a Pride style introduction, like back in the Pride days when they would walk out and introduce all the fighters. We didn't have them walk into a face off, but like each fighter individually got announced. They lined up on the mats, lights turned off. My wife does the national anthem. She's a really good singer. And it was one of those things where I was looking around and I'm like, it was packed out, like probably 300 people, And I'm like, all right, like we got something special here. Like 300 people came out to watch jiu-jitsu and stayed the whole night. So we definitely got something special going on here, I think.
Joe, if you ever need a crazy lady screaming for those Pride introductions, I got an old lady in the other room who's definitely a big time screamer.
Well, I just like that they actually, in a place like North Carolina, you don't play the national anthem, people are going to get up and walk out of the building and I probably appreciate that kind of patriotism. So, there's some places out here you won't even get the national anthem, but
yeah, that's let alone a live performance. We could have done some cheesy stuff and put on like the Jimi Hendrix on the iPhone, like some of these organizations do. We had it in-house. That was my wife. Dude, one of the guys is a black belt in town here that owns the school, and he's done like some political campaigns and stuff. And that's twice now she's done it, and twice he's come up and just had like tears running down his face. He's like, this is so beautiful, because he's from Venezuela, so like he's kind of seen what like real tyranny can be, and like suffering. And he's like, I just love when your wife sings that. I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. Like, if nothing else, you got one fan here, Case.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. So real quick, I know you're a busy guy, you got to get going, but I want to just get your take on last Saturday night's fight, the main event specifically. I mean, what do you think when you watch a fight that is very anticipated from two guys who are known for putting on wars, either finishing, getting finished, or having a fight of the night kind of performance? And then I'll get your take first, then I'll say how I feel, but I don't want to condition your answer here.
So I missed it live, and I've just saw a lot of recaps and the highlights. So I have to put the disclaimer as that. I was on a very belated or delayed anniversary date with my wife. So I was actually watching Creed. But yeah, I think it was almost one of those things where it was such a no-brainer that it was going to be fireworks. But I really think it probably falls on Sandhagen's. I think if you want to get in a dogfight, Cheeto's going to be there to be in a dogfight. I think it does show what an elevated IQ Sandhagen has. You know what I mean? He seems to take not the path of least resistance, but he's going to be really good at figuring out not only how you can be beat, but where he can beat you. And I think he saw that hole in Cheeto's game, which was just kind of fighting the intelligent fight. He's not going to stand there in the middle. Whereas I think someone like Dillashaw or his fight with Jan, he sees the openings in the middle. But I think in this fight, he sees the only way Cheeto can win is if I stand here and get lulled into what he does best. So I think that speaks to his IQ. It's not the most fan-friendly, but given what's at stake with everything going on in his career and how he's been this close so many times, I can't really knock it, you know?
Yeah, see, my perception was the exact opposite. I thought that it was all on Vera. I mean, I think it was by round 3, he had thrown like 13 strikes and was just not putting out volume. Sandhagen was coming out and flying knees at times up the middle. I mean, there were some really good moments for Sandhagen in that fight. And to me, I mean, Vera, his coach Perillo is in the corner talking to him, and he's like, "You're bumming me out, man. You're not like, are you throwing these rounds away? You just kind of hoping he's going to get tired." Like, and Sandhagen trains at elevation. He's not going to get tired. So, yep. I mean, I was a little bit disappointed in Vera. I think that he's at this point where he's, and he kind of says this in his interviews, that he's not super, like, steadfast towards the title. Like, he's like, I will fight whoever they put in front of me. And I think that from a betting perspective, when you want to bet on these guys, and I don't know, I mean, it feels like he knows he's secure, win or lose. I feel like it's almost like he's not getting cut from the UFC anytime soon. He's a very fan-friendly fighter. He's in good with the brass. And I think that kind of can seep into your subconscious sometimes, and just, it takes away, like, he wasn't fighting like that when he wasn't in this position that he's in now. You know what I mean? And you kind of get a little bit of that out. I don't know. I think a lot of these guys, they get up into that upper high air, and it's like that old saying, you know, it's hard to get up and go running when you're sleeping in silk sheets. The hungry dog runs the fastest. And like you said, Sandhagen is still hungry to get to that title, and he feels like he's not, been where he needs to be yet, you know?
Well, and I think you're right. And I think it comes down to, like, what that person's got going on internally. And I don't know Cheeto, so I don't want to say. And he is, you know, one of my manager's, like, main guys. So this is not a knock. But I think no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, an opinion's an opinion. But I think what that could be too is, like, if you have a reason why you fight, and that reason is settled, like maybe it is just like a certain amount of money or a stability or something like that, and you've hit that goal. And I've seen this with other guys as well, is then, yeah. But then you look at a guy like Dustin Poirier and you go, no matter what kind of sheets he has, like, he's coming to fight because that's in him. Like,
yes.
He loves fighting. He loves putting on performances. I don't know Cheeto from Adam, so I can't say. But I do think you're spot on with that. We see, like, a guy like Jim Miller, like, title is not in his vocabulary right now, but you're not going to see him come out for a fight any less amped up, you know? And actually, Mike Heck said this about me in my last fight, was like, you know, the crazy thing I think I could say without even knowing Joe a ton other than interviewing him, he's like, whether it's Islam Makhachev or 9-day late notice replacement, like, he's going to treat it the same. So, like, I think there's some of us that are just going to go, like, I don't want to lose in checkers, you know? And then I think there's some guys that step up when they need to because it's their moment and they need this, you know, this payday or this status or this win. And then there's those guys that are just consistently going to show up no matter what. Like, I think Poirier would train for me the same way he trains for the McGregor rematch. I don't think he's a guy that's capable of coming out and, like, putting on a snooze fest, you know? So I think you're exactly right. I think that could be what you said, is if he doesn't have direction in his career and thinks he might be on that journeyman, but in the upper echelon sense, it could very well be like just kind of not rising to the occasion type thing.
Well, I think the other thing is that, like, when you have a guy like Cheeto who has a lot of machismo, it seems, just from observing the way he talks and the way he is, I think that guys like the Diaz brothers, right? How many times have we seen the Diaz brothers lose a decision, but in their mind they won the fight? But I think there's a certain breed of fighter who you have to beat him in his mind for him to even care that he lost. Like, I think Cheeto's the type of fighter who's like, Corey Sandhagen never hurt me, so I didn't lose. The judges can say whatever they want, but I know that I didn't lose. You know what I mean? And I think that's a healthy habit for winners to just kind of, like, always move on and be like, no. But it's also, I think it can be. We actually were just talking about it with a lot of these Russian fighters. Like, I don't know if you saw the Zubaira Tukagov fight where he lost the decision, and then, you know, you see the Duraev fight where it just kind of feels like sometimes these guys are fighting very tight and not too not really going for the kill and are okay with winning a decision. You know, and it's like the opposite. Like, they have the rules in their head as they see them, and it's like, no, I won that clearly. And even if the judges go the other way, they're like, nope, I won that. But they're annoyed about it. And then you have other guys who are like, I don't care what the judges say. I didn't get hurt, so I'm fine. Yep.
I think you're exactly right. I think, and there's got to be a happy medium, and I can't stand either mentality to a T, you know? It's so frustrating. It is exactly that. Like, you've got to go for the kill. And then along the way, if you don't get it, then you should be winning a decision, right? But when you're going in there to go for the decision and not even thinking about a kill, and you're like, no, this is just where I'm headed right now, and then it doesn't go your way, you really can't be super angry about that. You know what I mean? And I think you're exactly right. I think guys like Cheeto, guys like the Diaz brothers is exactly that. But I don't think you fight as hard for each position when you're like, well, he didn't hurt me, he can't hurt me. You know, he can have this decision like Diaz. You lose to Leon Edwards for 4.5 rounds. You hit him once and point at him, and then you're putting that picture on Instagram. It's like, dude, like this is why you're never going to be holding a belt, is because you've never learned to wrestle because you think wrestling doesn't exist or doesn't count. It's like, okay, great, but the champs are all wrestlers and they disagree. You know, like, but at the same time, you got to look at someone like Usman, who majority is wrestling, and well, you can't be mad that you're not a fan favorite like Nate Diaz. You know, so it goes both ways. But yeah, I think you're exactly right.
Joe.
Yeah.
One last thing before you go. I got a question. I saw you were back in the saddle, back at the old stomping grounds, Hassett's Jiu-Jitsu. Now, did old man Hassett, the man, the myth, the legend, the most handsome guy everybody knows, did he impart any wisdom on you while you were there?
73 Olympian John Hassett. He'll tell you
it's volleyball,
but those girls were tough. That's what I'll always say. Dude, it's all wisdom when you go there. It's it's like, and I can't say like I'm having a tough time at all, but when life changes, right? Like when I'm having another baby, or maybe when I'm like I won a fight or lost a fight, whatever. Like just life's changing. It's like that's my like factory reset. Like I just want to go home. I just want to go home and see Hassett. That's it. Like you can keep your weather, you can keep the food I want, but you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh yeah, come home. It's good to see where I grew up and all that, but I'm going for that. You know. It was exactly that. He's always got something on his mind to share, and something that, and dude, it's so cool. It's so cool to go back and see him. And I just want to be a poor man's version of him. I brought 2 buddies up with me, well, my buddy and his son. And they've known me for like 10 or 12 years and trained with me down here. And we got done and he's like, man, you so undersold Mr. Hassett. And I'm like, how so? He goes, oh no, you talked to him about him where I was like, there's no way this guy's going to be a 10th of who Joe thinks he is. It's just his childhood mentor, and he's all excited. He goes, and then I met him, and you criminally undersold who he is. Like, he is amazing. I was like, yeah, that's exactly how it works, you know? And, what you see is what you get. Like, he doesn't even understand how great he is because you're telling him, and he's like, oh, like, yeah, I never really, like, I just keep on keeping on. Like, and the crazy part is, like, it's not like he does for me because I'm a UFC fighter. Like, he was nice to me the same way he's nice to every other student, and going above and beyond, and take this book, take this DVD on this technique, and blah, blah, blah. Just because he's excited to pay it forward and share what he loves and knows, and try to help people's lives be better. You know, he didn't think I was going to be a UFC fighter. He didn't know that, you know? So it's awesome. It's awesome to go back and just be a part of it, be in that building again. And, man, he's always got something for me. And this time I had, a couple actual specific questions for him, put him on the spot. So, even more so, it was just more guidance and more help, and he's the man.
Well, I'll tell you, Joe, firsthand, he definitely didn't think you were going to become a UFC fighter, because the story he always tells in the gym is, Joe Solecki, he was a guy who came in, get the snot beat out of him all the time. He would go to every tournament every weekend, get the snot kicked out of him. But you know what? He kept coming. He kept coming, and that's always the testament to your character, that he never shies away from, that you are just the toughest son of a gun around, and that you just kept coming.
Dude, just stubborn and stupid, man. It's like, that's the all-in thing. It's like everything we do, me and my wife laugh, because it's just like, all right, we're going to get into this next little venture, this now. Like, how are we going to do it? Are we going to hedge the bet? No, definitely not. Like, let's just go and do everything. No string, no safety net, no nothing. And that's what he did say that to me. He's like, man, I think it's just kind of crazy because we know different people that did different things, and they tried to keep that day job, or they tried to, grow a side business or this and that. And we were talking about it, and he was like, yeah, I think that's maybe what you did best other than anybody, is you had this like blind faith in something that was not even like a tangible, realistic goal, and you just kept going even when you were like failing. I'm like, I don't know what that is. That's the only gift I got. You know what I mean? I don't have anything else, but I'll take it.
Well, residually, I just got a lot of wisdom from that, Joe. I really appreciate that. I took a lot from that, more than you probably know. I know you got to get going. I wanted to ask you about Muhammad Makayev. I wanted to ask you about that knee bar, but we'll save that. We'll save that. I know you.
Yeah, nasty. I seen the picture. I seen the video. Unbelievable, dude.
Would you have tapped?
I don't know. I can't say what he was feeling, but gosh, I think something on mine would have popped because I don't have that kind of flexibility. So
I think it did pop. I mean, you see his knee afterwards; it was this big.
yeah.
So,
I mean, I've been in. Well, I don't know. You look at the last Fight Pass thing, and I tapped like a typewriter to that big dam before he could even get back. My foot was popping off. But in a fight with the adrenaline, everyone likes to think they'd sit there and just let it go, But man, props to him to keep winning. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah,
I thought he was a little arrogant beforehand, or not arrogant, but like a little smug, like always kind of like saying how great he was. I'm like, nope, that's real. Okay, that's really who he is, who he says he is.
Well, I'm happy you tap like a typewriter in these jiu-jitsu matches because we need you in the UFC fights. That's where we want to see you.
Every time Big Dan has a match, I'm not even watching, and my ankle just starts throbbing. Phantom pains.
Amazing, Joe. Joe, we can let you go. Thank you so much for coming in. One last thing. Pereira versus Adesanya. What's your take? How's this fourth fight go?
I hope Pereira, and I think Pereira, because I think he's just got that. You hear guys say like when they win a title, they get like X percentage better. I think Teddy Atlas put that out recently. And man, that couldn't be more accurate. Is like he's just got it right now. Now, I mean, he's saying stuff, and I know it's a fight, and you got to say that kind of stuff, but I feel like he believes it when he's like, UFC, like, please, like, I like Adesanya for his future of his career and his health. Like, don't let me fight him. Like, I get Drago vibes from that guy. I think he believes that, So, yeah, I got to go with him.
It's very interesting that we have him coming in as an underdog again, just like Leon, again, in a situation where they both were down but on the judges' scorecards and managed to pull it off in the 5th round.
But we're not talking gambling with Joe. We know all the new restrictions in the UFC. We're not going to even talk. We're not going to touch on that.
Oh my God, yeah. Never want to be the next. We don't want to be the next James Krause over here. So we need to distance ourselves appropriately.
The feds just turned their wires on right now as we speak.
Yeah, we can't even be too good of friends with you, Joe, because then we won't be able to bet anymore, and our livelihood is destroyed or renewed. I don't know. I
can't keep hanging out with the degenerates.
Honestly, I need to gamble. I think I'd rather gamble than take our friendship to the next level. I'm sorry, Joe. The hooks are deep.
All right, fellas. Yo, great talking with you guys as always. Thanks for having me on, guys. Seriously, anytime I'll on. You guys want to come down and set up a live podcast for the next All In, do the wrestling match, whatever. Seriously, like literally doors open.
Thank you so much, Joe. Thanks for coming.
So much.
Yes,
take care, buddy.
Take care, guys.
Enjoy.
Caralho.
Joe Solecki, everybody.
I love you. Oh shit, he's not here anymore. Fuck.
Oh my God. You hear that? Joe's got an extra room. Maybe you could go move in with him and pay rent.
Me?
Yeah, he's got one guy renting out a room in his house. Why don't you just go?
Is my ball and chain invited? I don't know.
I'm sending you down there to get good at fighting, not to bring your lady. Okay, you gotta go into the.
When I was shaving my beard, I was dead ass thinking for like a good amount of time. I was like, I think I'm gonna do the Islam Makhachev and shave my entire head and just get, because there's a Renzo Gracie's around me, and I'm going as soon as snowboarding season ends, and I was like, yeah, I can't have all this. I can't have this mop on my head with all the people grabbing. I can't have this beard. That's why I shaved off completely. That's the thing that the Dagestanis don't understand is people really grab your beard to get you in chokes. Like, people don't give a shit. They grab that thing all around just to get under your neck. It's crazy out in these streets, man.
Yeah, there was that one time you were grappling and I just grabbed your fucking hair and pulled it in.
Yeah, you're a bit of a dick.
Hey, I'll shoot. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying. All right, guys, listen. It's an early predictions episode. We got no UFC this Saturday, so we are going to do what we usually do, which is top to bottom, full card, main event and prelims. Israel Adesanya versus Alex Poatan Pereira. We are going to give you every single pick for free this week because they're early. We've got to come back next Monday to get the prelims picks.
Thank God, because some kid in the Discord was like, you did so bad this week. You need to give me your picks for free next week. And I was like, hey, if I promised it on the last podcast, you got video evidence of it, I'll give it to you. I will. I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of honor. I'm a man of my word. If I ever promise you, if I go under 50% next week, I'll give all my picks for free. You better book it. I will give all the picks for free. I don't even care. But thank Luke, because I wasn't going to give it to you.
We got him. We're going to give everybody, this is an early predictions episode. Just do us that favor and throw a like, throw a comment, share the video with a friend. And if you're not subscribed, get subscribed. Thank you all very much. Let's get it in, man. Let's take it away. We got Alex Pereira taking on the style bender, Israel Adesanya. And like we said, two Nigerian-born champions or Nigerian, representing champions that went down in the 5th round as heavy favorites and are getting rematches instantly and are again favorites, guys. What is going on? I've crashed this card to the wall so many times, and yet we still expect a different result. It makes no sense to me, everybody. But when I reflect on the fight, when I reflect on Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira in their first MMA fight, their 3rd encounter, I can't help but remember how easily Israel was able to take him down. I can't remember how those first few rounds went. I can't forget how Israel almost knocked him out at the end of that 1st or 2nd round. And there's just a part of me that says Israel's going to win this fight. I went with Leon twice in a row. I went with Alex Pereira the first time. But I just think that Israel is too good to lose to the same guy 4 times in a row. At the end of the day, the line that they set reflects if they fought 10 times, how many times would this fighter win and how many times would this fighter win? And that's how you get your line. They're almost about halfway there, guys. They're almost about halfway there. And at the end of the day, it's a percentage probability. And the more at-bats you give Israel, the more that is going to come out in the wash. So if he wins this fight 6 out of 10 times, then he's going to win the next 6. But if the line has always been screwed, if the line has always been skewed and wrong, then he's going to lose this one. And you're going to want to be on those underdog Alex Pereira odds. I'm going with Israel Adesanya. I am not going to tell you that he's going to lose. I'm going to tell you he is going to win. And he might not be popular as an opinion because why would you think that? He lost 3 times in a row to the guy. Why would you think he's going to win on the 4th? That's exactly why I think he's going to win on the 4th. The roulette wheel has to come up black eventually. No, this is too tight a game. It's a game of inches and centimeters, and you can't possibly be asked. It's like in the NBA or the MLB or hockey when they have a series, and you get up ahead 3 games to nothing, and then you drop 1, and then you drop 2, and then you drop 3, and now all of a sudden it's dead even. And who wins the 4th one? So
Luke, that almost never happens. Nobody ever comes back from 3-0. The Flyers did once against the Bruins, not in the Stanley Cup Finals. I don't think a team has ever came back from a 3-0 lead or a 3-0 deficit in the finals of anything. This is the finals, Luke. This isn't just a fight night. This is for the belt. This is for the championship of the world. Just like the World Series, just like the freaking Stanley Cup, just like the NBA Finals. You're not gonna just lose this one. It's fighting. It's a little different, but in the same breath, Luke, nobody's ever came back from a 3-0 lead. I definitely don't think Israel will beat him 4 times after this. I think if anything,
I was just trying to say
Israel wins a boring decision. If anything. Dan, weren't you the only person to take Israel Adesanya last time, or did we triple P certify Pereira?
I'm trying to remember.
Because I think that time you were like, "Oh, I like the nerd now. I don't." I think you did a heel turn. You were like, "Everybody knows I hate Israel Adesanya, but I'm done with him."
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
I'm gonna find it real quick for you. I can definitely find it.
All right, so Luke's going with Izzy. Dan, what are you going with?
I think I'm going to split the triple P difference here and go with the Euro Under King. I think I'm going with Alex Pereira. I think I'm going with Alex, the Euro Under King, and I think I'm going with Joe Solecki here. I like everything Joe was saying there. I like the fact that we literally just had this scenario once before with Usman. We all picked Edwards. We all understand how this works out. I think it's a very similar situation, and I think that Pereira is really, coming into his own as an MMA fighter. I expect the grappling to be a lot better this time around. We've seen, look at Holly Holm. Look how good her wrestling has improved throughout her career. So I think Alex Pereira is, within that realm. And I think he's going to probably knock Izzy out one more time. This time, not in the 5th, maybe 2nd or 3rd. So yeah, man, I'll take that. I'll take that dog value all day and night. Let's do it.
My bold prediction on this fight is that after Alex Pereira wins, retains his belt, he goes up to light heavyweight.
Certainly big enough. Probably would be
Huge.
nice not to have to cut that extra 20 pounds. So
Glover was talking. He was like, I think the weight cut is getting a little too much for him. He's 35 years old. It's tough for him every single time. I mean, the guy walks around at like 220 pounds and fights at 185. And Glover said, as somebody who's been in the light heavyweight division, he said, Alex Pereira can win a light heavyweight belt. He can also win a heavyweight belt.
Listen, I think that could actually play a big role. I think every weight cut gets a little bit harder each time. And I think that when you win a championship belt, you don't not celebrate, you don't not eat. So I think this could be his biggest weight cut yet. Kind of like Andy
Luke, do you think that guy has fun? Look at that picture on Tapology and tell me that guy has ever had fun in his life.
That's true.
Besides when he knocks out Israel Adesanya every single time.
So that is kind of true. But here's what I think. I just think that we're going to get the most motivated, intense, prepared Israel Adesanya, who already has an amazing coach in camp and game plan, and did really well in the first time and didn't go down, didn't get dropped. Alex Pereira, I kind of took a harder shot at the end of the second than Israel did at the end of the fifth. It was bad. Like you gave, Alex Pereira almost went down. You know what I mean?
But if you think about it like this, right? We think about the Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman first fight. That fight was definitely a lot more one-sided than Israel Adesanya versus Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. That was definitely way more one-sided, and Leon still came out, and the only round he lost was the round that he gave up a point.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Let me check. Hold on. Judges.
And now you're allowed to just grab the fence whenever the fuck you want. So just grab the fence, Alex. Get up. Grab the freaking fence. Pull yourself up. And even if the judge takes away a point, they're going to just stand you back up. That's the new rule.
Can I tell you something, though?
Yeah.
It was actually the same exact situation as Usman, because Usman won all but one round going into the fifth, and Israel had won on every judge's scorecard all but one round going into the fifth. It was the second round that they all gave Alex Pereira. They gave Israel 1, 3, 4, and then it ended in the fifth. So it was actually the exact same scenario in terms of one guy.
But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. When Leon's round losses, some of those were teetering on the line at 10-8.
But how about this? Altitude was a big factor. And as somebody who just got back from Colorado, let me tell you, the first night I was out there at altitude, I woke up in the middle of the night and I had some trouble catching my breath. Like I had a little bit of trouble getting a clean breath. Like
weak.
You also have asthma.
Weak. I used to live in Colorado, boys. I used to run up and down the mountains every other weekend.
But we drove out when we moved you into Colorado. We drove out there, so we had a slow build up to the acclimation. Then we spent 7 days before you even had to spend the night there by yourself. So, I mean, you know what I mean?
The first time I went to Colorado for my freshman orientation, I was telling my friend's mom, he's from Colorado. We went to Boulder together. We were up there for freshman orientation, and I'm telling his mom, I got a wicked headache. I'm like, yo, my head is pounding. She's like, boy, you've been drinking Mountain Dew all day. You haven't drank a sip of water once. You need water at this altitude. You need some daggum water. And I know your ass wasn't drinking water when you got to Colorado with the boys for a bachelor party.
I was drinking a lot of water.
White Claws don't count, Luke.
What'd you say?
White Claws don't count.
Miller Lights do.
All right, I agree.
Now, listen, let's move on. I'm going to take Adesanya. I did look it up. We Triple B certified Pereira last time. So, yeah, a lot of big underdogs this year we've cashed in on it, and Triple B certified actually too. All right, next fight. Gilbert Burns versus George Masvidal. Oh, man. George Masvidal, 170 pound matchup. Masvidal was recently on Rogan. Masvidal was recently on MMA Hour. Masvidal says that he's going to beat Gilbert Burns. He's going to paint his Picasso on his face, and he's going to get a title shot. He's going to skip Colby. He said Colby's going to sit in timeout because he's a bitch. That's what Masvidal has to say. And yeah, so I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but long story short, Masvidal thinks he goes out there, he beats Gilbert Burns in Miami, he gets a title shot. I don't see it. I think Gilbert Burns fucks Masvidal up bad. I think he picks him up and drops him on his shit whenever he wants. I think he could possibly even knock Masvidal out. Masvidal looked like 8 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag last two times we've seen him. And I just think he's got too much money and doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it means as much to him anymore.
My favorite Chael Sonnen line probably ever is when he's like, 6'2", 205 pounds. Boy, before I met Wanderlei Silva, I didn't know they stack shit that high.
I never lost.
So, one of my favorites. Yeah, I mean, Jorge is almost 40 years old. Let's not get that twisted. And although he's not cutting as much weight as he did for 155, he's still cutting some weight. Believe that, especially with the paydays he's been getting. He's been a top boy in the UFC for a minute. But you look at a guy like Gilbert Burns. I mean, he destroyed Neil Magny. He made Khamzat Chimaev look human, which no one in the UFC had yet. Stephen Thompson beat him, which Stephen Thompson's been on a resurgence himself. Kamaru Usman almost knocked out Kamaru Usman in the first round. I think Durinho goes out there and just rips him apart. I don't think that this lasts 2 rounds. I really don't. I think this is one where if the over-under was set at 1.5, I'd be a little nervous putting my balls on the table for that. I'm going with Burns, which I'm a little hesitant now because Luke has been somebody who's been avidly against Gilbert Burns and the Burns family since day one of this podcast. So that gives me a little cause to pause and make me think, wait, is this Masvidal's night? When I had a beard, people said I looked like Jorge Masvidal, but I shaved it off. And we're all Durinho now.
I actually picked him against Maya. I picked him against Woodley. I picked him against Usman, and that's where it kind of soured for me, I think, was when his brother with the crying and the giving up and stuff. I couldn't do it. The Wonder Boy fight, I picked him in, and I obviously went down hard picking Khamzat Chimaev to finish him. So I'm always going to be salty on that. But, I believe I also picked Neil Magny to beat him, and so I've been wrong last 2 times on Burns. Got to get right. Got to pick the right outcome here. Let's just take a look at some of these measurables here real quick. I want to see how they stack up. 36 years old, Burns, 38 years old, Masvidal. 5'10" Burns, 5'11" Masvidal, 71-inch reach, 74-inch reach, Masvidal. So Masvidal's going to have a 3-inch reach. But here's the thing, guys. I don't know that that's going to make that much of a difference just because the way that Burns kind of throws, I feel like it's not like his style is one that utilizes reach anyway. His style is to get in no matter how big your reach is. He's kind of a hook guy. He's kind of more of a
wild man,
a wild striker with power and big swinging, thudding shots. Masvidal, he's going to try to kick the liver. He's going to try to kick the body. He's going to try to dot him up. I just don't think Masvidal's got the steam to put him out, and I think Burns will walk through some fire. His name is the Fireman, after all, to bring the game to game bread and get the knockout, or at least get.
Is that what Durinho means?
Durinho, it's the fire. The fire.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So yeah, he's the Fireman, and he's gonna go out there, and I think he either knocks Masvidal out, or I think he punches him in bunches to close the distance, gets the body lock, and drags him to the ground for 3 rounds.
And shout out to Lil Wayne, a true American patriot.
The true fireman. This is probably the easiest pick on the card for me. It's Jorge Masvidal all day, baby. You guys are way off here. Luke, you almost had it, man. You almost had it when you were talking about the hooks. Those little baby check hooks that Durinho loves to throw. I think Masvidal reads that all day and all night. I don't see Masvidal getting caught by a hook. What I see when he gets caught is like a straight right hand, right? That's how he got knocked out by Usman. Masvidal way too crafty for the striking style that Durinho's throwing out there. I think that Masvidal's wrestling is more than adequate enough to keep it on the feet. And this isn't a 5-round fight, right? This is a 3-round fight. I think he outpoints him. Don't think he gets the finish, but I think he gets the judges' scorecards, especially in Miami. And look, on top of that, we're looking at the intangibles here. Burns is coming up on 37. He's like 36 in 9 months. So he's no spring chicken either. Not to mention the 3-inch reach advantage that Masvidal is going to have as well. So I don't think the wrestling will be employed like he's able to do against guys like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Masvidal is a better wrestler than that. Neil Magny's kind of cooked at this point in time. And the striking style is to the advantage of Masvidal. So I'm going to be lapping up this plus 400, plus 500, whatever value that we're going to be getting, that I'm going to be getting at least. So yeah, easy pick here, guys. Let's go, Masvidal. There's a reason why he's getting all this press going into it. Like, read the signs. Come on.
The signs. The thing is since Dorino has been up to 170, he's lost 2 fights, and that's Kamaru Usman as the champ and Khamzat Chimaev, the second coming of Christ in a lot of people's opinions.
Yeah, but Chimaev is there to be hit if you have the balls.
Everybody Masvidal fought sucks except Colby and Usman. Every single person he fought sucks. Ellenberger, Cerrone, Maya, Thompson, Till, Askren, Diaz. Sorry.
Whoa.
Dude, listen, I love Nate Diaz. I'm not saying Diaz sucks, but I'm just saying he's not in the UFC anymore. He's got 11 losses. Sorry, 13 losses or whatever it is. Oh, no, 11 losses. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but he knocked him out. Not many people have knocked out Diaz.
He didn't knock him out. It was a doctor stoppage. What the fuck are you talking about?
Stopped.
It was a crab in the bucket doctor, dude. It was a crab in the bucket.
He got stopped. He was begging for that.
You sounded like McGregor with a broken leg. Doctor stoppage.
But my point is, Usman has no knees. Usman got his ass whooped by Edwards twice, and all of a sudden, you look back on those Usman losses to Masvidal, and you're like, where does Masvidal really stack up, right? He loses to Wonder Boy. He loses to Damian Maia. And yeah, it was 2017, but I'm just saying, like, these are the guys he was losing to, right? And then he wins against Till. Till's not in the UFC anymore. Wins against Askren. Not in the UFC anymore. Wins against Nate Diaz. Not in the UFC anymore. The last person that he has beaten that has a win in the UFC, that is still in the UFC. I'm still scrolling, guys. I'm still fucking scrolling. Michael Chiesa in 2013. That is Masvidal's last win against a guy still in the UFC. Michael Chiesa in 2013. Did you guys know that Masvidal fought Chiesa? I didn't.
I didn't either.
I didn't. He Darce choked him in round 2. Michael Chiesa, king of getting fucking choked out, dude. Fucking.
For someone who walks out to stranglehold.
For somebody who walks out to stranglehold, it's foreshadowing for what's about to happen to him, dude. He's getting fucking choked all day. Let's see. Michael Chiesa, 6 losses, and of the 6 losses, 4 of them are by submission.
Dude, he's going to see those hooks coming all day long. He's not getting caught by that.
What about the heel hooks? What about the heel hooks, Dan?
No, not even close.
Masvidal choked him. Kevin Lee choked him. Anthony Pettis choked him. Vicente Luque choked him. The only person who didn't choke, Michael Chiesa, is fucking Sean Brady, the most likely suspect. To choke him.
That's interesting.
Yeah. No love for Michael Chiesa. No love for Terrence McKinney. Fuck both those boys. Cut them.
Screw Washington. That's a shitty state.
Get him off the fucking desk. Michael Chiesa is fitting to go dye his hair purple and hang out with Terrence and fucking, where do they live? Washington?
Washington, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to go to Seattle and fucking join CHOP.
Tacoma.
They're going to join Chaz.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And Luke, you said this first, but I am also sick and tired of Terrence McKinney posting that picture of him and Michael Chiesa and like, look where we were and look where we're at. It's like, you're at 3 losses in a row. If you don't get another win, you're going to be out of here and you're going to be right back on the streets.
He's going to be right back to that same high school substitute teaching. Yeah, dude.
Shout out to substitute teachers, the unsung heroes of the education system.
Dude, all we need is Terrence McKinney to tweet us and try to dox us like he did the MMA guru, and then we're in the fucking money, baby. We get some subs. So let's talk shit. All right, let's talk shit about Terrence McKinney in every episode, guys. Clip it, send it to him, get us on that Twitter. Because he did say he would do the show and he bailed and acted like he didn't know how to use fucking StreamYard. Joe Solecki has never had a problem, so you know what I mean. One's real, one's not. Or even worse, Terrence McKinney is so technologically inept he actually didn't know how to use StreamYard both those times.
It's not even that you don't know how to use StreamYard. It's that you don't know how to just get Google Chrome. That's all you need for StreamYard.
Let's set that fight up. They're in the same weight class. Let's get McKinney and Joe Solecki.
Joe Solecki would put Terrence McKinney in a wheelchair, dude. He would put him in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? Like he would be wheeling out.
Let's do it then. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good fight. The problem is Joe is not willing to tweet right now, Liverpool is a shithole at Paddy the Batty. He's not willing to say, get Dave Portnoy. I don't know. I'm going to edit it anyway. All right, moving on. But I'm just saying, Paddy the Batty is sitting here with Dave
on the record,
Dana White, and it's like that's what Joe needs to say. He needs to acknowledge that and get some steam going. You know what I mean?
On the record, all of my edits that have ever needed to come out of the show came in 1 episode. Luke has had 9 episodes that he's had to edit something out of, and always comes us, me and Dan, two blue-blooded Americans, a couple of guys, red-blooded Americans, a couple of red-blooded Americans trying to have a little fun. Never say anything bad. Never want to hurt nobody. A couple of God-fearing men. And Luke is always like, hey, you guys better keep it clean this episode. Keep it clean. He's like a comedy. He's like the host of a comedy club. He's always going, hey, I need 15 minutes clean from you tonight.
He's Seinfeld. He's Brian Regan.
That's my bad. That's my bad. But I'm just saying, yeah, we'll try to. We need Joe. We need Joe to just give me his phone for a night.
No.
Give me your phone for a night, Joe.
No.
I will go on
No.
I'll drink proper 12 and I will start tweeting. And you will
That
have
would be the
that for
worst
you.
career decision. That would be the worst career decision Joe would ever make. That would be the worst career
If it
decision.
goes bad, we say that I stole it. If it goes well, I get 10%.
Not worth it.
Let's make it happen.
I just
Make
want
it
to sit
happen.
down. I want to sit down with Joe and just put Uncle Chael's YouTube channel on and just Clockwork Orange him to the fucking TV and just be like, Joe, watch Uncle Chael for 3 days straight. Come out the other side and let's be millionaires.
And then he does the complete Colby Covington heel turn. He's like, France, you're an absolute shithole.
Like I couldn't not do that. I think it's so funny, and I don't know how guys have such restraint. I don't know. All right, we got.
I have
Rob
no
Font.
idea. I have no idea how guys have restraint. Like when you show me guys like Joe, I'm like, holy cow. So you just don't have any vices. You just sit here and you just are disciplined as shit all the time and are a good guy and nice and like could also beat the shit out of half of the people you know, more than half of the people you know, 99% of the people you know, like you could beat the shit out of them at any time. And you just sit here and you're just the nicest dude ever. You give us the time of day.
Yeah, and not only nice but tolerant because like we're pieces of shit, and he comes on here and like
I know you're sitting here talking shit on Marlon Vera when they're part of the same management team. I'm like, all right, let's get this back on a cleaner page. Let's talk about John Hassett.
Well, did you hear he said he didn't even watch the fight? He was like, I saw the highlights. It seemed to me like the onus was on Sandhagen. I'm like, well, somebody watched the fight. Let me tell you something. Sandhagen was throwing flying knees. Sandhagen was bringing the fight. Marlon Vera threw 3 punches per round. Like, let's be real. So somebody had to say it, but it's okay. He agreed.
And he had to let you know. He was like, hey, and by the way, we are on the same management team, so I am dancing around this very well.
He said, but he was like, an opinion is an opinion. You're right. You know,
and you have a right to your opinion, Luke.
that's what I'm saying. He's still nice, even though I'm like, you know, getting him into trouble over here. All right, so next we got Baby Masvidal. They put Adrian Yanez on this card just so that they could get the people in the building because they'll be, oh shit, Masvidal's fighting right now, and then everybody comes in to watch, and then they're in, so nobody misses it. So they got him fighting right before Masvidal. It's going to be very confusing. Honestly, it's kind of a weird joke that they even did this. It's like people are going to think that the Masvidal fought for 12 rounds. But he's taking on Rob Italic's Font, coming off of 2 losses. To me, it'll be his third. You know, he lost to Cheeto, he lost to Aldo. You know, looked really good before that, but in my opinion, Yanez is just younger, 6 years younger. He's, I think he's slicker. You know, this could be Rob Font's best looking fight ever, or this could be the last time we see Rob Font and he goes over to PFL or something else. But give me Yanez. I'm just going to age on this one, even though I have a lot of respect for Rob Font and his fighting style. I just, I think it's kind of a mental thing. He's not. I think for this particular matchup, he could look like the best Rob Font we've ever seen, and everybody could be just absolutely shitting over him, or it's the last time we see him in the UFC.
Only 4 of Cheeto's 22 wins have come by decision ever.
Wow.
Okay. And in the UFC, it is Davey Grant, Rob Font, and one more, and I'm having trouble finding it. Well, I wish I didn't find it. Guangyong Ning. Guangyong Ning. I think that's his name. Guanguoning.
Just move on.
All right. Anyway.
No one cares. No one cares.
Anyway, if you lose a decision to Cheeto Vera, I don't necessarily think the highest of you. I do like Davey Grant, but Rob Font, I think I remember watching this fight. Wasn't very impressed. I've never really been very impressed with Rob Font. I think I faded him in almost every single fight, apart from the Cheeto Vera fight. I got to go with Adrian Yanez here. This is a COVID hero for us. This is a guy who's been in the UFC since COVID and has not lost in the UFC and has looked sensational. Although he does have that split decision win against Davey Grant, where MMA math might, boggle things up. I still think Adrian Yanez wins this.
And one thing I want to say, he's been undefeated since we started the show, so we haven't yet to.
That's what I said.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, this is the opposite of the Masvidal fight for me. I could go both ways on this one.
Dan, the biggest you're an old man at 135 guy is going to be calling into question now. Rob Font's 38 years old at 135 pounds.
36.
36.
Yeah, but I mean, he's fought in his last 3 fights were all 5-round fights. With Cheeto Vera, he landed 270 plus strikes. He's thrown out a ton of volume. Yanez also throws out a ton of volume. I think that Rob Font might be a little bit cleaner. I think his boxing is a little bit cleaner, whereas I think Yanez is a little bit, he's willing to put it out there a little bit more, be a little bit more wild, take the risks, and reap the rewards. Whereas Rob Font, he's not really knockout susceptible. He's pretty good at that. I'll go with the young kid. I'll go with the rising stock here. I'll go with Yanez. Fighting in front of the Latin crowd. I think it's going to be I think the crowd will be behind him. That'll elevate him to one of those spectacular moments of his careers where he finds the knockout. But listen, both guys throw a ton of volume, and I think it's going to be close if it goes to the judge's scorecard. Because Rob Font puts up 100 strikes in his sleep like it's nothing. So I'll take Yanez, but I'm not loving it.
If I told you had to pick one fighter out of 2 and one of them was going to throw only punches, the other's going to throw kicks, knees, and elbows and punches, who are you going to pick knowing only those 2 things, regardless of volume?
Yeah, it'd be Yanez.
Yeah, because he's going to do that. He's going to kick his legs. I think he's faster. I think he's equal. I think they're equally as slick. I just think Yanez is going to have equal the volume, and he's going to have kicks and knees and elbows as well. So
that's a good point.
Objects in motion stay in motion. Rob's coming off a lot of losses. I think that he ends up at the PFL after this because he's kind of like Pettis. He's kind of like some of these other guys that we've seen go over there recently. I'm drawing a blank, but Shane Burgos.
Oh, that was such a shame that Shane left. I mean, what an entertaining fighter. Come on. Keep him in the
So is Rob Font, and he's very much like Shane Burgos. You know what I mean?
No way. Shane Burgos is the man. He's way more entertaining, way more willing to risk it for the biscuit. Love Shane Burgos.
All right, well, this next fight to me is the easiest one on the card. We got the problem child, Raul Rosas Jr., El Niño Problema, taking on Christian C-Rod Rodriguez. I'm going with the 18-year-old. I'm never fading this kid. I'm riding Raul Rosas Jr. all the way. He's too confident. He doesn't care. He's unflappable. He likes to get in there and fight, have fun. He's strong as all get out. I'm going with the Chad Squidward himself, Raul Rosas Jr. Easy pick for me.
I'll take Rosas as well. I don't think it's very easy because I have a lot of respect for Christian Rodriguez. I think he trains with a lot of good dudes over there in Arizona. I think he's going to be prepped for this one. I just think that Rosas is a prodigy in the making. We saw a lot of good things in those first 2 UFC fights, Dana White Contender Series combined in there. Yeah, I'll take the kid. I think he's, on this main card for a reason, showcase fight and all that stuff. So give me Rosas.
Luke, do you pick?
Yeah, pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it short and sweet. I'm gonna go with Rosas here. I mean, yeah, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Huge will be served by picks in the main card. Ines and Raul Rosas Jr., who will now be referring to as Double RJ.
Did you ever see the meme where it was like Raul Rosas Jr., Nate Diaz, and Stipe Miocic would make the most unintelligible podcast of all time?
That's pretty funny. I didn't see it. Next, we got Kevin Holland versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. And, Kevin Holland, buddy. Oh, man. Kevin Holland. 81-inch reach. He's going to have an 8-inch reach advantage over Ponzinibbio, the Argentine dagger. He's going to have 6 years on him too. He's going to have 3 inches of height. And this fight's going to take place at welterweight, where we know Ponzinibbio, his last fight against Alex Morono, he weighed in at 179. And I believe that was a short notice situation. I don't think it was that he missed weight, right? Do we know that? Should I check that fight out real quick? Let me do that. I'm just going to make sure, because I remember there was something sketchy about it.
Not short notice.
It was not short notice. What happened there? Why did they do that? Let me check real quick. Main card, 180-pound fight. It was a catch weight of 180 pounds. And why? I'm just trying to figure out why. Anyway, I will comment if you know, guys.
Actually, he was supposed to fight Robbie Lawler.
That's right.
And maybe Alex Morono couldn't make the weight.
Yep, that was it, I think he was supposed to take. So listen, yeah.
And Alex Morono was winning that fight the whole time before he got knocked out.
He looked really good. He got knocked out in the third. I said I would never pick Kevin Holland again after he quit on his stool against Wonderboy. Kevin Holland and Wonderboy have a lot in common. Both guys who just want to get in there and have their own rules to MMA. They want to be able to either do jiu-jitsu off their back and win a decision, or they want to be able to fight on their feet and get a knockout, but they don't want to have to wrestle. They don't want to have to fight wrestlers. And so finally you match these two up against each other, and what happens? Kevin Holland breaks his hand. So does Wonderboy, but only one of them said no mas, and it was Kevin Holland. And that was bullshit. I mean, I really can't get behind Kevin Holland anymore. And, guys, go watch the earlier episodes. I was probably Kevin Holland's biggest fan. I mean, I was like, every time I'm like, the smack man will riseth, the smack man will riseth on the Sabbath. I was always saying that, guys. But this time, I am so low on Kevin Holland after he quit on his stool. This is a situation, right? We got the reach. We got the age. But it's like we had all those things in the Wonderboy fight. And look, they have it as Stephen Thompson, KO, retirement. That's what they have it as for on Tapology. Tim Means and Alex Oliveira. Those were his only good wins in the last 5. He got headbutted by Dawkins. He got knocked out by Chimaev, choked out. I'm taking the Argentine dagger here, man. I think he fucking knocks Kevin Holland the fuck out. I really don't think that. I really think Kevin Holland is going to win, but I'm not going to pick him because I just don't have any love for him anymore because he fucked me. He fucked me so hard, guys. Remember, I was going to rob the bank. I had $1,000 on Kevin Holland to beat Wonderboy. $1,000. Okay, $1,000 I had on Kevin Holland to beat Wonderboy. Probably more. Probably fucking more.
And Luke makes $1,000 a year.
So I gotta go with Ponzinibbio.
This is the definition of a fight where you put nothing on it, you enjoy it, you just kick back and have some fun with it.
I ain't enjoying
it. But that's not what we do. That's not what we do here. We bet, we lose the money, and we lose it for you folks. So I'm going to lose my money on Ponzinibbio as well. The guy puts up at least 80 strikes per fight. Last couple ones, over 100. Going up against a guy like Alex Morono, who's so hard to hit, so hard to figure it out. Even if he figured him out, he got the knockout on that guy. So I feel like if he could get a knockout on Morono, granted, he's coming off of 2 days notice for that fight. But I just feel like Kevin Holland obviously is there to be hit, even though he's probably got more talent than Ponzinibbio. That chin will be exposed at one point or another, and Ponzinibbio, as we have seen as of late, still is carrying that power into the later rounds. So I'm going to call it Ponzinibbio knockout here.
Luke, the drop. The drop, please. Oh, I am what? What you guys are now.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I'm not going to say it. But, okay. You guys are complete morons, ignoramuses. This is the dumbest decision you can make. Luke always says, buy low, sell high. Everybody's low on Kevin Holland. Everybody's high on Ponzinibbio for knocking a guy out who beat him for 2 rounds that came in on 2 days' notice. Ponzinibbio is going to get stopped. He's been stopped before. He's been stopped by Jeff Neal. Or no, he's been stopped by Jilin Jiang. He lost to Michelle Pereira. He lost to Jeff Neal. And before that, he had quite a big winning streak. But he is getting older now, fellas. He is 36 years old. Kevin Holland is only, 28, 30? 30 years old. Kevin Holland all day, guys. I mean, Kevin Holland has crisp striking. Santiago Ponzinibbio is not Wonderboy. Wonderboy Ponzinibbio is not. This is all Kevin Holland. You guys are absolute morons. Luke is just crying in his beer still about Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and, all this and all that. This is Kevin Holland's fight to lose. He's going to win this fight, regardless.
Well, Ponzinibbio also has victories over Sean Strickland back in 2015. He also beat and stopped Court McGee, who's hard to stop. He also beat and stopped Gunnar Nelson. He also
then had tragic knee injuries. Tragic injuries.
He also beat and stopped Neil Magny. And yeah, he lost to Li Jingliang. And then beat Miguel Bieza, lost to Jeff Neal, split decision, lost to Michelle Pereira, split decision, and beat Alex Morono. Then, he's had 2 fights scheduled with Robbie Lawler. One before the Li Jingliang fight, and one, was supposed to be rescheduled for December of last year. And, for whatever reason, Robbie's not showing up. Robbie's not showing up to fight.
Dude, Mike Perry looked good against Ponzinibbio, man.
Yeah. No, you kind of swayed me.
You mean the bare knuckle champion, Mike Perry? Yeah.
And yeah, he knocked out Neil Magny in a 5-round fight, which probably shouldn't have been the main event of a fight night. Let's just be honest. Ponzinibbio versus Magny. I mean, at that time, they were both on title contention talk, but
all right.
In the same breath, I mean, he didn't fight 3 years after that. So for 3 years after the Neil Magny fight. So who really won that fight? Did Neil Magny win that fight? Because Neil Magny was fighting actively those whole 3 years. Ponzinibbio took 3 years off, then got knocked out, then beat Miguel Bieza, a guy that we saw Matt Brown almost beat, and then lost Jeff Neal, lost to Michelle Pereira, who's beatable, and then beat Alex Morono on 2 days' notice, and now you're acting like he's Superman.
All right. You've almost convinced me to switch to Kevin Holland. You guys are going to have to check back next Monday to figure that out. I don't really know. I'm sticking with Ponzinibbio for now, though. But maybe when I see the line, maybe when I see the shape they're in, hear some interviews, I'll switch. But, I would have to offer Kevin Holland a very rare second chance at redemption and forgiveness. I don't often do that. And it wouldn't be something that I would be comfortable doing. But maybe ask me again next Monday. Maybe I will switch. Okay, Cynthia Calvillo missed perfect parlay, the girl who beat up on Jessica I and got me my first ever perfect parlay.
So what are you going to say about this girl who won you a perfect parlay, who's on a 4-fight losing streak, Luke? What are you going to say about her now?
I'll tell you. She's going to fucking lose. She's going to lose.
She's going to be a part of another perfect parlay on the other end.
Exactly. Lupita Godinez, I'm picking her all the way here. Sure, she had a really disappointing performance 6 months ago. I mean, one against a woman who's 13-12, Angela Hill. I can't stand Angela Hill. I think that she stinks, but she was able to whoop Lupy, and that was pathetic and sad and such an age disparity. And Lupy's had some amazing performances against Carnelosi and Loma Lupumi, but she also lost to Dread Luana Carolina, right? So you just wonder, like, Lupy has looked so good with such great wrestling, and then she's looked so bad as well, right? But,
well, that Dread fight was a week after she had just fought. Just remember that.
Cynthia Calvillo, just remember, lost a split decision to Nina Nunes, who retired after. She's 35. She's 6 years older. To me, I would be way more confident in Lupy beating Angela Hill, and she didn't. But give me Lupy over Cynthia Calvillo. I just think Cynthia Calvillo is gone. She's not here anymore.
Taking Lupy, I mean, Andrea Lee forced your corner to stop the fight. Stop the fight! Dan Hardy was back there in her corner. He said, stop the fight! In the second round, a corner stoppage. Not a doctor, a corner stop.
What happened? Oh, to Calvillo?
No, to Calvillo versus Lee. Andrea Lee lost a corner stoppage to Andrea Lee.
Gotcha. Sorry.
So Calvillo, not good. Not good at all. She's lost to Caitlin Chukagian, Jessica Andrade.
Her last win was my perfect parlay win.
Yeah, those two I can forgive. I can forgive a Caitlin Chukagian. I can forgive a Jessica Andrade. Andrea Lee, Nina Nunes, unforgivable. I'm going with Lupita Godinez. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, we got to make this thing triple P certified. At one point in time, the Calvillo was a rising prospect with Team Alpha Male in the wrestling, but the wrestling seems to have faded. I don't know where it's at, but it's not within the bones of Cynthia Calvillo anymore. Even if it were, Godinez is a pretty good grappler herself. She would definitely be safe in any of those scenarios. And Calvillo's striking is just, the volume's not there, the power's not there, the reach isn't there, the intelligence behind the striking isn't there. It's just not there at all. It seems like Godinez is just the better fighter in every aspect of the sport. So even though it's women's MMA, I feel fairly confident in this one and justifiably triple P certified.
The only thing you have to worry about is Miss Lupu forgetting to, manage her gas tank whatsoever. That's the only reason she's lost some of these fights, that she didn't manage her gas tank whatsoever.
Yeah, and Calvillo's not the fighter to capitalize on those situations.
Exactly. She gets tired too.
Yeah.
She's a little bit more plumpy.
Well, let's get real because this next
Luke, cut
fight
that.
is. Wait, what did you say?
I'm just kidding. I just said Cynthia was a little bit more plumpy than Lupi.
Yes. Well, this next woman, Luana Pinheiro, coming off of a UFC debut. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't a debut. It was really her first official win in the UFC. She comes off the Contender Series with a round 1 finish, and then it gets illegally upkicked by Randa Marcos back in 2021 and wins by disqualification. Then ends up beating up on Sam Page last November. It's actually been a very long time. It's been 2 Novembers ago. So coming off a very long layoff, she's taking on a 38-year-old woman named Michelle Waterson Gomez. So interesting that it's Waterson Gomez now. The karate.
I think it was in the last 2 fights as well.
The karate hottie coming off back-to-back losses. The only win she has in her last 5 is against Angela Hill, split decision. She's coming in here 37 years old, and I think that she gets smoked. I think that Pinheiro beats her ass and finishes her.
I don't even want to pick this fight. You guys know what I'm going to say. You guys already know what I'm going to say.
I mean, if her and Holly are drinking the same water, though, you know what I mean? If her and Holly are drinking the same water fountain, then maybe when they're hanging out doing their TikTok dances and their fucking hair together and whatever they do when they hang out.
Don't make me say what you're going to make me say right now. Do not make me say this. Listen. One of them just got divorced. One of them recently got married. Okay? Who's sitting at home watching Netflix a little more and not making TikTok dances with Holly Holm? Holly Holm is just TikTok dancing by herself. Okay? She's getting fit with those TikTok dances. That's how she has those washboard abs. It's all Luana here. I'm not even. Men age like wine, women age like milk. Fine, I'll say it. She's 37 years old, ladies and gentlemen. She's about to turn 38 in a year.
Yeah, got a triple P certified Luana here. Let's give a little credit to Luana here, not just sandbag all over Gomez. I guess her last name is now. This girl has almost all of her wins.
Gomez, Dan, have a respect for the hyphen.
I respect the hyphen. Well, listen, whatever. For a straw weight in the women's MMA division to have mostly finishes throughout her entire career speaks volumes to me. So I'm not necessarily going to bet this thing by finish, but the money line is pretty clear at this point in time. We all know the age of Waterson, and we know the fact that this is clearly a prospect the UFC wants to showcase. 29 years old, coming into her own. I think having Sam Hughes as the fight before, someone that's going to actually put the pressure on you and really test your gas tank, I think is perfect going into a fight like this. So she's primed up and ready to go. Luana Carolina all the way, triple P certified.
Luke, you're really an old ass dad. The way you were that close to the camera, I thought you started playing Candy Crush on your laptop.
No, I'm just looking into the next fight real quick. We got coming straight out of Beijing, Shailan Nurdanbeki, the infamous man who took on Derek Minner in the fight heard around the world, the fight that has ruined so many lives.
Federal fucking prison.
So, that makes me so sad. Don't say that. Steve Garcia, Mean Machine. Really hard to get a beat on this guy, right? He goes in there and in his debut, loses to Luis Pena 3 years ago. Doesn't fight for a year and a half, and then gets a knockout win against Charlie Ontiveros, right? In a blood and guts scrap that, like every Ontiveros fight, back and forth, you know what I mean? Gets hit, but hits back. Mahashate, they ship Steve over to China. Not even business class. They shipped him over there in a dog kennel in the back, so he could come in there and
plane.
Fucking lost, dude. He went over to China, and just like I think it was Paul Shaughnessy on Dogger Pass. He was like, they didn't bring Steve in to win against the Chinese guy in China. They didn't bring him in to win. So then he goes in there against Chase Hooper, and you kind of think, yeah, they got to read on Steve. You know, he can beat guys like Ontiveros, but he loses to guys like Mahashate, young guys. Okay, cool. Let's put him in there against Chase Hooper. And you want to think, yeah, they want Chase Hooper to win here, right? But no, he blasts Chase Hooper and fucking straight up exposes him 4 months ago in a fight that left people saying, Luke, I'm on your side. You could beat Chase Hooper in a fight. But I have bigger fish to fry now. Me and Chase are friends compared to fucking Ian. So,
yeah, why did you duck that with Joe? Why did you duck that? I literally thought when you were like, I got a guy for you to fight. I thought the first name that came off your lips would be Ian Gary. Please, Joe, beat him up for me. It's just like when I would get beat up by an older kid in school, and I'd be like, hey, Luke, come on, man, help me out here. I haven't hit puberty yet.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think Ian Gary is fighting somebody who's gonna whoop his fucking ass next. Oh yeah, isn't he fighting Daniel Rodriguez?
D-Rod, it's over.
Fucking man, like
the hype train's over, baby.
D-Rod is going to walk straight forward and fucking mop Ian Gary.
You got a guy with teardrop tattoos versus a guy who looks like he's still in university, as they would say.
Yeah, I can't stand that boy. All right, I'm really torn on this one, man. Because I'm torn on this one. I really don't know. You got to check back in the Patreon next week, guys, because I'm gonna have to do a little bit of a deeper dive. I need to get more interested in this fight. So make sure you sign up for the Patreon if you want to get next week's prelims takes. These are the early prelims takes. Right now, I'm definitely more impressed with Garcia's win against Hooper than I am against Nurdanbeki's win against Minner. Right? That's a no data fight for me. The Nurdanbeki win against Minner, it's a no data fight. I think Nurdanbeki's a little heartier. I think he's got a little bit more muscle, and I think he can probably get Steve out of there. But tough fight. Give me Steve Garcia. Fuck it. Steve Garcia.
Shaolin Shadowboxing. Can your Wu-Tang sword defeat me? Bring the motherfucking ruckus. I'm going with Shaolin Nurdanbeki. Not famous from the Wu-Tang song, but famous from James Krause and whatever. Hey, I don't want to get canceled over here. I'm not going to get into it.
What are you going to get canceled for? You just have to say allegedly. James
allegedly
did some bad things.
I said it 3 times. There we go. Now I'm good. But yeah, he is a minus 215 favorite. I've honestly been fairly impressed with his wrestling. I think it's looked really good. I know Steve Garcia also comes with a pretty good grappling pedigree himself, but I don't know. I just think I've been a little bit more impressed with Shaolin over here. I think the play is the over. Go with the over on this one. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't even know if they have that line yet. Over 2.5 is looking at plus 120. I think that's a good play. I think I might hit that. And as far as money line, again, I'm going with Shaolin here. Minus 215. Where are we going, Alex? Split the difference.
Dan, I couldn't agree more. That overplay is probably very good. 2.5 for a guy who's seen a decision 3 out of 4 of his fights in Shaolin Nurdanbeki, the machete. I'm going with the machete as well. I mean,
machete, he's the Wolverine.
Oh my gosh.
You're a Wolverine too.
Machete is machete.
His whole name is Machete?
Yeah.
Mahashate.
Whatever.
What is he? Freaking Danny Trejo, man? Like, come on. I'm going with Shaolin Nurdanbeki. His only loss in the UFC is Joshua Coulibaly, which at first we thought that was bad. But now Josh Coulibaly is coming into his own, and he looks like this great fighter. So I'm going with Nurdanbeki here. I think that the Wolverine gets it done.
Trophy certified Nurdanbeki, I'm switching.
X-Men.
Trophy certified Nurdanbeki, I'm switching. This next one.
Whoa, Kelvin Gastelum is so low on this card. Who did they? That's crazy. They're getting Kelvin right back into they're getting him into the PFL right now. This is his PFL fight, baby. Curtis, Action Man, Curtis. Chris, Action Man, Curtis, The guy who said we were a little too hard on him before we knew him, but now we know him. And Chris is going out there and he's getting it done. He's going to be way too big, way too strong for Kelvin to take him down. Kelvin, we've said it a million times. He said it. He has a problem staying away from the tacos. He is going to be fat, out of shape. Chris Curtis, the action man, he's hanging out with Sean Strickland and a bunch of other good guys at Extreme Couture. He's going to go out there and probably knock Kelvin Gastelum out, and Ali Abdelaziz is going to ship him off into the PFL.
That is exactly what is going to happen. One of the easier fights to pick. Chris Curtis does not get taken down. He has the best takedown defense in the history of the division. He comes in there.
Right? 100% takedown percentage after over 15. The only fighter in UFC history to have 15 takedown attempts against him and to be 100%.
Precisely. And, you know, we see a big sort of, let's see, what year did USADA come into play? 2015. Okay, so 2015, USADA comes into the picture, and Kelvin Gastelum since 2015. I don't know. I mean, is it really that long? Holy shit! It's almost 10 years that they've been doing this. I'm just trying to wonder where this drop off began with Kelvin Gastelum. I mean, let's see. Like where was Kelvin? If we go back deep into the annals, you know, he wins the Ultimate Fighter against Uriah Hall, split decision, goes on a 1, 2, 3, 4 fight winning streak, loses split decision to the champ Tyron, beats Nate Marquardt. Loses to Neil Magny, split decision, beats Johnny Hendricks, beats Tim Kennedy, no contest against Vitor Belfort. What happened there? It was 2017. What happened there? I don't fucking remember what happened there. Why can't I remember? Did Vitor test positive? I don't know. Weidman loses to Chris Weidman, beats Bisping, knocks him out. Remember that fight in China? Beats Souza by split decision, gets the title opportunity with Israel Adesanya, loses that fight, gets dropped 4 times in the last round. Darren Till, he loses a split decision to Jack Hermanson, gets heel hooked, beats Ian Heinisch, loses to Robert Whittaker, loses to Jared Cannonier. Canceled bout against Imavov would have sparked him. Canceled bout against DDP would have sparked him. Canceled bout against Imavov would have sparked him. Now he's got Chris Curtis to deal with, and I think Chris Curtis sparks him. I think he knocks him out. Chris Curtis can fight a little defensively. If Kelvin doesn't want to get into the fire, he might end up losing a decision, but I could see Chris Curtis finishing him too. I'm just going to take Action Man for the win, and really it's an easy decision.
Mama's wrong again. We're going with Kelvin Gastelum, folks. He's going to win this thing via judges' scorecard, and the total strike count is going to be Kelvin Gastelum 10, Chris Curtis 8. It is going to be the most boring fight of the year. That will win an award. But I am pretty sure that Kelvin Gastelum going in there with his southpaw stance is going to give Chris Curtis a little bit of issues here. I just think that Gastelum has enough experience to deal with a guy that's as low volume as Curtis. Gastelum at this point in time is built for that boring fight. Granted, so is Chris Curtis. It's going to be a nail biter. Like I said, it's going to be a difference of 2 strikes. But I think that Santino DeFranco, our boy, coach of the year, in my opinion, is going to, get in the ear of Gastelum in that last round. Just say, hey, this guy really doesn't have all that much knockout power. Sorry, Chris. Don't come at me in the comments. Actually do. It's probably good for the show. But listen, get in there, throw some volume, take the risk. You need to at this point in time in your career. Might as well get a win and, go into the PFL with a win under your belt from the UFC. I like Kelvin Gastelum here. It's not a guarantee by any means, but definitely pick the over, folks. I mean, if you want to avoid the money line, which I totally understand, go with the over. This thing's boring. It's going to the judges' scorecards for sure.
I love the deep prediction there, but I just don't see it. I see Kelvin getting finished. He's taking a lot of hits to that coconut. The coconut's about to crack eventually. He's absorbed a lot of punches, but eventually he's not a superhuman, so he's got to eventually. His coconut's going to crack eventually, and if Curtis coming off that knockout against Buckley, I think he knocks Kelvin the fuck out. All right. We got Joey Body Bags Piper, or should I say Joey Hollywood? Joe Piper. His number's in my cell phone. I could call him right now if I wanted to, but
call him.
No, I'm not going to call him because then what if he tells us how he's going to win the fight, or he tells us something we can't get.
No, you have to let him know he's on the podcast first legally.
No, but we can't do it because then if we get too much information, we won't be able to bet this one. So
Hey Joe, this call is being recorded, just so you know.
Yeah, he'll probably say, "Who is this?" as soon as I call. But he's taking on GM3. I mean, this should be a walk in the motherfucking park. 9 years younger, from Pennsylvania, 6'2", 75-inch reach, 2.5-inch disadvantage to the GM3, but it ain't gonna matter because GM3 has elbows shaped like this. He can't even do a full extension. He has put together a really nice streak ever since Khamzat knocked his block off. Only losing that really weird fight to Jocko where he looked like he aged 10 years in a day between the Dustin Solfit submission and the Jocko fight. Then he comes back against Bruno Silva and gets another submission. GM3 has one of the most submissions the most submissions in his weight class in and out of the UFC. I mean, he's got a ton of submissions. He ain't submitting Joey Bodybags, tell you that much. Joe Bodybags is going to knock GM3 the fuck out. So give me Joey Piper in this one.
Easy pick here. No way that GM3 is going to submit a South Jersey tough guy. That ain't happening, folks. Via knockout, yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, we've seen that movie multiple times, right? GM3 getting knocked down or knocked out. Very impressed with Joe Pyfer. Again, GM3 is not on this card. Joe Pyfer is on this card, okay, as far as UFC placement goes. So I believe it's minus 175 for, not a UFC debutant, but damn near close against a guy who's got a ton of UFC experience. This is where Chael Sonnen would say, experience is not your friend in this sport. So I'm going to roll with that advice here and go with the young buck, Joe Pyfer.
And, one quick thing, just want to point out, just so that the people who are watching don't think that we're missing something here. Dustin Stolfitz beat Joe Pyfer by an arm injury slam in the Contender Series and then went on to lose to GM3. So they do share a common opponent, but it was it was a weird situation. I don't want to take anything away from Stolfitz. You get in that ring, whatever happens, happens. Whoever comes out the other side is the winner. But yeah, I think that his last fight against Amadovsky looked great. It's the Joe Pyfer show. He's got all-time confidence. The only thing is when you take the chip off a guy's shoulder, when you make his life easier, when you get him a condo, when you're Dana White, you give him money, you give him a condo, does that slow him down or does that speed him up? It's a question we won't know until the day. We won't know until April 8th. So let's get into it and figure it out. But this will be his hardest fight for sure. This will be his hardest fight.
Yeah, I'm also going with Joe Pyfer here. I mean, for obvious reasons, I'm not too high on GM3. And like Luke said, I mean, you get a big bad boy from out in Amish country, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. You're going to get slammed sometimes. And if you plant the wrong way, that shoulder's just going to pop right out. I remember seeing that fight. It was around the same time Joe got his deal in the UFC. I think it was a little after. But I'm going with body bags here. I think that was a bit of a fluky type of deal. But his only other loss besides that is by submission. But on top of that, he did New Jersey wrestling. He was a judoka. And, I think he can keep Gerald off of him enough to win this fight.
Amazing. The next fight we have is an interesting one. We got Sam Page Hughes, and she's taking on a newcomer, a UFC debutante, Jacqueline Amorium. So the story behind Amorium is she's undefeated. She's got a ton of finishes. And the story behind Sam Page is she has fought, Tisha Torres in her debut, lost. Loma Lukbumi, lost. Luana Pinheiro, who fights on this card as well, lost. She beat Nunes by a majority decision. She finished Elise Reed from elbows from the mount. Elise Reed, who we know, a white belt, an absolute scrub on the ground. That's her path to defeat for sure. And then she loses to Piera Rodriguez in her last fight, an undefeated Brazilian, 8-0, Piera Rodriguez. No, she is Panamanian and Venezuelan. So listen, Jacqueline Amorium, undefeated Brazilian with a ton of finishes, coming in here against Sam Page, a girl with 5 losses. The story I like here is it's Fortis MMA with Sam Page. It's American Top Team with Amorium. So I'm going to go with the newcomer Amorium here. We don't really like to take debutantes. They lose at a rate of about 67%. But I like that she's got a really professional gym with a ton of star power. And, it's probably old hat for her to be competing, alongside them. She's fought, in main events in her last 2 fights in LFA. So I am going to go with the newcomer here. I think she beat Sam Hughes, but it's a lady fight. I won't really have too much on it. But confidently, I'll take the undefeated Brazilian over the girl with almost as many losses as she has wins.
My biggest worry is that all of Jackie's performances, all of her wins have come within the first round, which is rare, especially for ladies, especially in this weight class. That makes me a little nervous. Maybe Sam Hughes is a little too tough for her own good and can get by that. And then Jackie will be a little gassed out, worried that she hasn't gotten it done yet. Maybe a Lupe Godinez effect. But shout out to Pierre Rodriguez. Shout out to all the Panamaniacs and the St. Lunatics while we're at it. I'm going to go with Jackie here. I am a little worried about this one. I'm not going to be too heavy on it. I would love to see the over-under line on this one, because seeing as this one has had every fight not go past the first round, I would like to see them move that line a little bit further toward the first round, so that way I can get my over 1.5.
Yeah, over 2.5 on this one is minus 145. Excuse me. To your point, Alex, I feel like that's the Sam Hughes line. Okay, we got a girl coming in here who only has first round finishes. Sam Hughes, durable as hell, if anything. Always going to come forward. I don't know.
Who's the favorite, Danny boy?
We got Jackie coming in as a minus 245 favorite to Sam Hughes's plus 205.
So that begs the question: why would they set her as a minus 255 favorite against Sam Hughes, but the over-under line is over under 2.5? What do they want you to think, guys? What do they want you to think?
Well, they may have confidence that, Jackie can actually be successful going into the second and third rounds. I mean, that's one way to look at it. I'll go with that line of thought. I love Sam Hughes, but I love her as a fan. I can't put my money on her. Yes, she's tenacious. Yes, she's durable, but okay, you're durable in a light female MMA division. Okay, most of them are. I think I got to go with Jackie here. The finishing ability is pretty impressive. Being a UFC debutante, that's a little bit nerve-wracking, but at the same time, she seems to have the skills to pay the bills here. I'll take the minus 245 female favorite. Probably not the smartest move in the world, but at the same time, we're not going to have all that much investment in this fight anyway. So
yeah, from a betting perspective, I don't like minus 255 on a female debutante with 6 fights under her belt. I don't like that at all. I think that Sam Page is hard to finish, and as an underdog, there's a ton of value there. She's gonna have a good game plan. Fortis MMA, very hard to go into the UFC in a live environment and get a finish on a girl who never gets finished. So the more that I'm talking, the more that I'm thinking. When do the opposite of whatever you think in women's MMA. So the more I'm talking, the more I'm saying to myself, why don't you just pick the underdog Sam Hughes? The problem with the women's MMA is that you get these undefeated fighters against a girl who has just about as many losses as she has wins. And the girl with the losses wins the fight because she's got experience, because the newcomer has not fought to her. She's not fought anybody to her level yet. That's all this means. She doesn't have any UFC fights, and she's won all of them. So that means what's going to happen? She's going to go in there against Sam Hughes, face adversity for the first time, and it's going to be scary. You know what I mean? Bright lights, live crowd, UFC debut. Also, it's your debut. They're not going to cut you after one loss. So there's that parachute in the back of your mind, like, oh, okay, I'll shake the rust off and I'll get in there. A lot of people lose their first fight. There's that parachute. You know what I mean? When the going gets tough for you to just pull the cord. So I'm switching my pick. I'm going with Sam Hughes. But guys, you hear what I'm saying?
Gilbert Burns is a minus 435 favorite right now.
Well, a lot of people don't think Masvidal has a snowball's chance in fucking hell.
I guess you're right.
I'll go with Hughes, but guys, it's not a fight I want to really bet. It's just a fight that I've seen this story. I've written this country song, guys. I've written this country song. I've seen the movie. I rode the ride. I bought the t-shirt. You just go with the underdog, okay?
All right, fair enough. I appreciate it. I don't want to.
I will prevent the trophy certification, but you two will take Amorim. Check back in the Patreon next week, see if I've changed my opinion. Let me get a good look at Amorim on the way up. Next fight, amazing fight. I am actually very excited for this one. We got Chris Barnett taking on Chase Sherman. Man, this is funny. This is a funny ass fight, dude, to say the least. 36-year-old versus a 33-year-old. These guys, between the two of them, have 4 wins and 6 losses in their last 10 fights between the two of them. A 5'9" guy against a 6'4" guy, but Chase is only going to have 3 inches of reach. We know that Chase wants this fight to stay on the feet, but I don't think he's as good of a striker as Beast Boy. I think the Vanilla Gorilla is going to go down to Beast Boy. I think he could possibly get knocked out. We usually only see Chase Sherman lose when he's getting submitted or by decision. And Waldo Cortez Acosta is like undefeated 8-0, and he couldn't get Chase out of there. So very interesting matchup. I think I just want to go with Chris Barnett by finish.
Speaking of which, where is Waldo? I haven't seen him fight in months. I feel like he should have fought already. He was supposed to fight in February against Junior Tafa, and he fell out. Now, is that Justin Tafa's son?
It
is?
Yeah. He looks just like him. I mean, I'm assuming it is.
Or are they brothers? I mean, I just feel like Justin Tafa can't possibly have a kid that age.
Yeah, actually, I understand, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Beast Boy here. I mean, you look at who these guys have fought. It's Ben Rothwell, Gian Vellante, Martin Boudet, Jack Collier, and then you go to Chase Sherman. The best fighter he's fought is Waldo Cortez and Alexander Romanov. But then it's Jake Collier, Parker Porker, and Andre Arlovsky and Jared Vendera. The Ike Villanueva as well. These guys, they haven't been tested at all. The biggest test was Chris Barnett fighting Ben Rothwell, and the biggest test was Chase Sherman fighting Andre Arlovsky so far. I'm going to go with Beast Boy here. This is one you throw shit at the wall, you see if it sticks. I like Beast Boy more. I used to like the Vanilla Gorilla, but he has just burned me too much in the past. No matter how many times Chris Barnett burns me, I will take him because he is entertaining, he is electric, he is fun. Who doesn't love Chris Barnett?
Yeah, sorry, one quick thing. I just don't think that Chris Barnett gets finished by Chase Sherman, and I think over a long enough time, you're going to have a lot of opportunities for Chris Barnett to land something.
He's no Jared Vendera. He's no Ike Villanueva. That's for sure. Chase Sherman is a bit like a Gian Vellante and a Jake Collier.
You're right. He's a spitting image of those guys. So, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Have some more sloppy joes. I'm going with Chase Sherman here. That 50 G's goes a long way in Mississippi, baby. I'm going to take him, the Vanilla Gorilla.
Especially after the most recent tragedies. And my heart goes out to everybody in Mississippi. The tornado.
Yeah.
They had like a stage 5 chemo tornado or something like that. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, the South is hurting these days. But back to the business here. Chase Sherman, as Lukey said, not finished by the hot prospect in Cortez. And listen, we overvalue, a big guy throwing a spinning back kick. Gets a nice, lucky connection against John Vellante. He does a little dance. He does his little TikTok dance. And now everyone's all up on him. Let's go with the guy who's been in the UFC for a while. He's got the basic striking down, right? I want a guy who's got the basics, okay? He's not the Vanilla Gorilla because he's a white guy. He's the Vanilla Gorilla because that's his striking style. It's very vanilla. It's very plain. And I like that out of a fighter. Someone who's going to, dot the I's across the T's, so to speak, against a guy in Chris Barnett who's completely reliant on crazy spinning kicks for wins. No. Give me the fundamentals. Give me Chase Sherman.
Dan,
Sorry.
Dan,
The best video Chris Barnett ever made was no TikTok dance. It was no front flip in the cage. It was no spinning back kick. It was him getting kicked out of the UFC building with no shoes on, with no ride home. That was the best video probably ever made.
Is that what happened? Was that him?
Yeah.
It was Johnny Walker.
Both. I'm pretty sure both of them had the same thing happen. Chris Barnett was on Instagram Live and was like, "Y'all, I don't have a ride home. I just got kicked out of here. I don't know what's going on."
Here's your hat. What's your hurry?
Exactly. They gave him a hat. He was wearing a UFC hat.
It's hilarious. Well, I think that Dan's almost convinced me though, because the speed, the fundamentals are going to go to Sherman, and we know that Beast Boy's not going to go for the takedown. So I just think that it's kind of like, I also think that Chase Sherman is like more motivated and experiences less distractions. Chris Barnett, his fiance or his girlfriend died or something like that before his last fight or before one of his fights. There was another super bad tragedy that happened to him in like a couple of these outings, like that he came into the fight with a heavy heart, unable to prepare, things like that. So I love Chris Barnett. I'm going to pick Chris Barnett, check back into the Patreon next week to see if I stick with the pick. But Dan has made some very salient points here that I don't want to dismiss.
I don't know. I think the speed advantage goes to Chris Barnett.
I don't know, dude. He's very rotund and short. And I just think Chase Sherman is, maybe he's not like neither of them are fast. Let's just say that. But I just think that Chase is kind of built for 3 more than Chris, Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's early enough in the night to where we don't really need to put too much investment into it. We can just kind of see how it plays out. But this first fight on the card, I just want to point out that Iggy, can't you see, was originally going to take on Nicholas Mota. Mota withdrew. Trey Ogden was originally going to fight last weekend, and he withdrew, I believe. So, let's see. He was going to fight.
Nicholas Mota was Joe Solecki's last loss.
So he was going to fight Jared Gordon. Trey Ogden was going to fight Manuel Torres, and we picked Trey Ogden as an underdog, and Torres withdrew from a medical reason.
That's a win.
Yes, and same with Manel Cape. Like, to me, Ogden and Cape were 2 good plays I really wanted at dogged odds and slight favorite odds, and just didn't come to fruition. But Trey Ogden coming off that win against Daniel Zuluber about a year ago almost, and I'm high on Iggy Bahamundes, man. He fights hard. He's really good. I dig him. He's younger by 6 years. He's got all of the things I want to see. He hasn't fought in a year and a month, which I don't like, but he's young enough to where I think he comes back better version than we've seen, and I think he gets the win. So give me Iggy Bahamundes.
Yeah, I'm going to have to second that. Chris Barnett is flashy, but I'd rather have flash from a guy like Ignacio Bahamondes, who's fighting at 155, 170, give or take, or you could actually maintain that and do it consistently throughout a fight. And that's exactly what he does. He's a young prospect coming up. I feel like he's learning the grappling as well. So I'm not too worried about Trey Ogden. I had worries about Ogden as far as his cardio. So that's still an issue here. And when you're going up against a guy like Bahamondes, who could really capitalize on a guy who's fading out in the late second and throughout the third, that's a bad place to be. So I'm super happy that Bahamondes gets to stay on this card. It's one of the points of the card that I was really more excited to see. And so, yeah, man, I'm gonna pick this kid for a while. I feel like, especially in this fight against a guy who's not gonna be able to capitalize on kind of some of his wild tendencies. Maybe a takedown here or there, but Ignacio is scrappy. I feel like he's gonna get back up to his feet and keep landing with volume and power. So give me Bahamondes in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to differ from you guys. I mean, I just think Trey Ogden, there's something about this guy. I mean, he had a split decision loss to Jordan Levitt, who looked absolutely sensational in his last fight. And he has a win in the UFC other than that. I mean, Iggy Bahamundes, he fought Roosevelt Roberts, kicked from the UFC, Zhu Rong, kicked from the UFC, and John Makdessi, who hasn't fought since September of last year. Yeah, he might still be in the UFC, but he's pretty old, so he might just turn his papers in. He might put his gun and badge right on the table. So I think I'm gonna go with Trey Ogden here. I don't know who's the favorite because this one is not on DraftKings yet. I think this is the only fight on the card that's not on DraftKings. I'm going with Trey Ogden. We took him last week. I'm taking him this week. I just think that he's ready, where Iggy Bahamundes was only supposed to fight on this date, where Trey Ogden, he's been ready. He was training before that. And some people say you burn yourself out in the practice room in these types of scenarios. But if you're already close to weight, you don't really have to do too much waiting 1 week. So I'm going with Trey Ogden here. The Samurai Ghost, his wins are against 2 people I've never heard of as well, or the one person I've never heard of, but he has a split decision loss against Jordan Levitt. One judge scored that for him, and I'm pretty sure he came in short notice to that one. Let me just check. Yeah, Trey Ogden, short notice. It was supposed to be Victor Martinez, and he lost split decision. I'm going with Trey Ogden. I think he's got a lot more in the tank than people are giving him credit for. And yeah, KC Mo, let's go. The show me state. Show me what you got, Iggy.
Beautiful. We will triple P certify. Well, no, we won't. Alex is going with Ogden, so we will not triple P certify him. But I really like our triple P certified picks this week. Make sure you check back in next week to see if we, have stuck with all these picks. New news could come out. We got some times. Fights could change, drop off. So you make sure you check back next week in the Patreon so you can see what our official picks are. In the Patreon, you can also get all access to our open bet sheets. You can get access to our picks listed out nice and neat for you. And you get an extra episode when it's not a break week. We do the prelims episode there. So make sure you join in there. I'm going to go through my picks top to bottom. But first, let's take a look at the 6 children.
Damn, how great would this card be if Henry Cejudo and Aljamain Sterling were on it too?
That would be amazing. Yeah,
they were supposed to be. It fizzled out.
Next, all right, we just are going to go through the triple P certified picks. We got 6 of them. Adrian Yanez, Raul Rosas Jr., Lupi Godinez, Luana Pinheiro, Shailan Nurdanbeki, and Joe Body Bags Pfeiffer. That's 6 triple P certified picks for you. And if you're going with me from the bottom to the top, I'm starting out the night with Iga Bahamundes. I'm starting out the heavyweights next with Barnett and then Sam Hughes. Now those 3 picks, besides Bahamundes, Barnett and Hughes, I both those could be wrong, right? But Pfeiffer, Curtis, I'm very confident in those 2. I would parlay those 2 together. Nurdanbeki, I think, can get it done. But again, him and Steve, it's not like I'm passionate about either. Panera and Godinez, what I like is that they're facing old ladies, right? So even though it's a lady fight, it's youth. But we've seen Godinez lose to an old lady before. So I'm hoping that, lightning doesn't strike twice with her. Ponzinibbio, you got to check back in with me next week. You got to check back in with me on that pick because personally, when it comes to Santiago Ponzinibbio, I think Kevin Holland just broke my heart last time, and that's why I'm leaning. Dan took him straight up. He wants him to win, but Alex went with Holland. Check back with us next week and see if that's who I stay with. Raul Rosas Jr., I'm very confident in. Adrian Yanez, I like. In this one, Burns, I'm confident in. And Adesanya. The only thing I don't like about the Burns pick is that Masvidal's got that Cuban magic, the same kind of magic that Tyson Fury has. You know what I mean? Where, like, when he can go in there, and if he really wants to win, he can do it. You know what I mean? And I think this is one that he really wants to win. In terms of he can't afford to lose it, right? So, yeah, give me in the main event, we got Ponzinibbio, Raul Rosas Jr., Adrian Yanez, Gilbert Burns, and Israel Adesanya. That rounds out my card for next week. Check back in on the Patreon. Let me know. Boys, take it away.
I have some big news. I have some big news. I have a shout out. I have a shout out right now. Activia, the boy who called me out, the man who said I need to give all my picks for free this week. You got him. And guess what, Dan?
What?
Such a good guy, such a good man. He subscribed to a full year to our Patreon. Ooh. Activia, we love you in the Discord. Activia, don't know your real name. I like the work you guys have been doing, and the library you guys have in Patreon is very large. So anybody who is considering doing the Patreon, listen to my boy Activia right here. Patreon.com/Perfect Parlay Pursuit. You get a full library of all of our old episodes. You might see a lot of funny fucking things in there because we're idiots on the Patreon. It's uncensored. They're prelims, picks, predictions, etc. And what's going on in the world. We tell you what's going on in the world, people. But, Dan, without further ado, give your picks. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No. That's all right. Shout out to Activia. From the top, we got Alex Piera, Jorge Masvidal, Adrian Yanez, Santiago Ponzinibbio, Raul Rosas Jr., Kelvin Gastelum, Chase Sherman, Luana Pinheiro, Lupita Godinez, Shaolin Nurdanbeki, Jacqueline A. Maureen, and Joe Pfeiffer. For a $10 wager, you're going to be paid out $13,962.98. And if you want to make this a little bit juicier, I know this is going to be a pick that Luke is going to love. To end 2023 as the UFC welterweight champion, Bilal Muhammad plus 800, now live on DraftKings, if you want to juice it up a little bit.
Interesting. So
Mr. One Eye, Mr. One Eye. Ah! Gosh, Lee, yo, we have a UFC fighter signed that has one eye. Only one daggum eye. Jesus. All right, my picks, top to bottom. We're going with Alex Pereira, Gilbert Burns, Brazilian sensation, Adrian Yanez, Raul Rosas Jr., Kevin Holland, Lupita Godinez, Luana Pinheiro, Shaylin Nordambeki, Chris Curtis, Joseph Pfeiffer, Jackie Amorim, Chris Barnett, and Trey Ogden. Yes, spinning the beats. And if you put $10 on the 12 fights out of 13 that are on DraftKings at this moment, you will win $3,103.90.
Dude, this story about the one-eyed fighter, Sharaputin Magomedov.
Yes.
This is a crazy-ass story.
His eye looks so crazy.
But I don't know that it is actually blind.
He's blind. He's legally blind, I believe. I believe that one eye is blind.
This article, one of the first questions most fans will have when they're introduced to Shara Bullet will likely be what's up with his eye. After suffering an eye injury early in his career, he required 8 surgeries on his right eye. This is from fansidedmma.com, just for citing my sources here. Describing the process in an interview, he described it as, before the operation, I was mainly afraid of an injection in the eye. I watched this video, very unpleasant. I thought that it was the most boring thing ever, and there were such operations when an injection in the eye had to be made, where it was removed. One might say, at the time, a local anesthesia is administered, but you feel everything. They pierce the eye from 2 or 3 sides. It seems the puncture is a camera, and the other 2 are something to upload something there. I had many different stages. My eyes were tortured specifically. This is a weird translation. I don't really know what he means.
My eyes are sympathetic to other people's eyes. That's why I'm kind of grimacing over here.
Yeah. He may lose vision in the eye completely, but the end of the doctor's promised. But end of the process, doctors cleared him to resume training. The whole process resulted in nearly 2-year layoff, but since he returned, he's looked nearly unstoppable, finishing every opponent.
What about the eye?
But one between the final surgery and press time. He's okay. So it also says he is no stranger to controversy. This past June, he went viral for punching a man in a mall in Dagestan for kissing a woman in front of him.
I love that.
If you are married, you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Hamdulillah.
Kissing a woman.
He's gonna love the UFC
now.
crowd.
Sorry, guys, check that video out on. They linked.
I hope he punches everybody drinking a beer on his way out of the octagon. Just get out of here! Haram, haram, haram.
I don't know. I mean, I just think that assault is worse than kissing. You know what I mean? I'm watching.
Not over there, bruh. Brada.
Bro, everybody in Dagestan can fight, I guess, because this dude fucking punched him, and then a fight ensues. Like, he fucking snuck him, but then this guy gets a takedown on him. So it's like, damn, everybody in Dagestan can fight. This guy's a fucking professional.
I saw a video recently of Henry Cejudo talking to Kayla Harrison and Henry Cejudo, and he was like, Brada, you know how important wrestling is in Dagestan. Judo, up here. There's only 68 countries that wrestle. There's 200 and something that do judo. Judo Olympic gold medal up here. But I think he was just shitting on Henry. I don't think he actually meant that.
Whoa!
What?
The video continued, and he fucking waited outside for him.
Yeah. That's the part I saw.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I think the guy was in like critical condition.
Dude, that's so fucked up. Holy shit. Fuck.
Dagestan's a crazy place. Kevin Holland went over there for 10 minutes and he was like, get me fucking home.
He didn't go there.
Didn't he say he was going out to Dagestan to wrestle?
Hendrickstan. Johnny Hendricks was training him in Texas, dude.
Oh, okay.
All right, guys. We did 2 hours, 18 minutes. I'm going to throw this on the Patreon first for you folks, and then it'll be live for everybody else shortly after. But take care. Enjoy yourselves this weekend, guys. We got no UFC this weekend, but we will enjoy the weekend anyway. We'll do our thing. We'll have our fun, and we're
going to watch the women's national championship basketball game. It's going to be amazing. I got Iowa going all the way. Luke, who do you have?
Who's still left? Who's left? Gonzaga.
No, they're not left in the women's national championship or the men's.
Ooh. So wait, this fight's taking place April 8th. Today is March 28th. Okay, so yeah, it's not this weekend, but next.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. But that's the weekend of Easter Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't know, dude. I'm on Ramadan
Wait,
time.
why wouldn't they put it on? Well, they should have a fight this weekend and not next weekend. We shouldn't be tainting Easter Sunday weekend with violence, but whatever. I mean, it's fine.
Why? They did it on the Good Friday. Why? Those Romans did it on Good Friday.
Well, I don't know. I don't like this. Let's just get to the fights. Either way, guys, I just want you to know, Alex. Maybe maybe I see you for this fight. Maybe we could both go to Jersey and watch this together.
Oh yeah. I'm coming home for Easter Sunday.
All right, word. Peace, love, happiness to all of you. We'll see you next week. Please join the Patreon. We love you.
Patreon.